Good evening and welcome to the July 16th council meeting. If you'd all please stand, Councilman Lucio is going to lead us in the flag salute this evening.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and please be seated. This evening is a proclamation for National Night Out. I'd like to call up Natalie Aguirre, who's going to receive the proclamation. She is our crime prevention specialist. Hi. And it reads, whereas the National Association of Town Watch, or NTW and ATW, sponsor a unique nationwide crime, drug, and violence prevention program on August 6, 2019, entitled National Night Out. The 36th Annual National Night Out provides a unique opportunity for the City of Chino to join forces with thousands of other communities across the country in promoting cooperative police community crime prevention efforts. And whereas it's essential that all citizens of Chino be aware of the importance of crime prevention programs and the impact that their participation can have on reducing crime, drugs, and violence in Chino. Police community partnerships, neighborhood safety, awareness, and cooperation are important themes of the National Night Out program. Now, therefore, I, Eunice Emuloa, Mayor of the City of Chino, do hereby call upon all citizens of Chino to join the Chino Police Department and the National Association of Town Watch in supporting the 36th Annual National Night Out this evening. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. On behalf of the Chino Police Department, thank you all for your continued support in our crime prevention and outreach efforts. So we hope you guys all come out for National Night Out on August 6th. And we really hope to continue some of our partnerships with our community and continue to grow those and our outreach efforts and create positive and safer communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do hope you do participate. It's a fun evening. Okay, next we have a very, very special presentation. I'd like to call up Chief Karen Comstock. Come, you're not in uniform.
Well, Mayor, I wore this outfit the night that you guys announced that I would become your chief of police about 4 or 7 months ago, and so I decided to wear the same outfit going out.
You know, some people can still wear things after 4 years. Some of us can't.
Just barely.
Just barely.
I'm hoping to get in my Class A uniform next week.
All right. Well, it is with mixed emotion that I'm presenting this retirement tile to Chief Karen Comstock on behalf of the Chino City Council and the Chino community. Karen is a homegrown hero and a source of pride for our city and the badge. Chief Karen Comstock began her career with the Chino Police Department in 1985 as a police explorer. She worked for Chino as a cadet, then reserve officer, and was hired as a police officer in 1990. Since then, she has served as a field training officer, patrol supervisor, detective bureau supervisor, and was on the crisis negotiation team. She was promoted to captain in November 2009 and has supervised both the Operations and Support Services Division of the Chino Police Department. In 2014, Karen was promoted to the rank of Chino Chief of Police. Chief Comstock was raised in the city of Chino and has always been very active in the community of sports, youth programs. She attended elementary school, junior high school, and she's a graduate from Don Lugo High School in Chino, which she reminds people of a lot. Last month, Karen was the 2019 Spirit of Achievement Award recipient. Her name will be added to the statue on Central Avenue in front of City Hall for future generations of Chino residents to see. And I couldn't think of anyone more deserving than Karen to be on that statue. Her heart has been and always will be in Chino. Her commitment to this community, its residents, and especially its youth, has made a positive difference in so many lives. Her leadership, intelligence, and moral compass have inspired and supported the officers and staff under her watch. Karen, the Chino City Council, staff, and residents, thank you for your 34 years of service and dedication to this community. Chino and the police department that you led are better because of you, and we do wish you many, many happy, healthy years to enjoy your retirement with your loved ones. Now, the coveted city tile is presented to you on behalf of our city council for your retirement. You know, Karen has been a wonderful chief. It seems impossible that I knew her when she was just an Explorer Scout. I mean, just a kid. And then she went all the way up in the rank to Chief of Police. She's set an absolutely phenomenal example for all of us to follow. She truly cares about the community. And trust me when I say you have had an impact. You've had an impact on many people and on this community that's going to last for a long, long time. Now we're hoping that Karen moves back into town, and we're going to hold her to that. And maybe then she'll start volunteering. Gossip has it that she might volunteer as a driver for the senior citizens bus. Now, seniors are not real good about minding, correct? So can you imagine Karen as a driver with, get the safety belt on or we're not going anywhere? Right? She'll do it. We have several people who are here to present things to you, but before we do that, we have a present that comes from the City Council. It is chocked full of things that might be near and dear to her heart. If they aren't yet, they will be. One is a Dodger baseball signed by us and almost everybody in this room. Pelican ice chest. And Karen, we know you like God. So Rita found her Dodger blue shoes. Oh, and even Mark Lucio signed the Dodger baseball, even though he's an Angel fan. So anyway, we hope that you enjoy all of this. It was truly put together with love. Rita went way out of her way to find things that she knew would make you happy. So we hope you enjoy the gift. Thank you, Mayor. You're welcome. So next, I would like to call up Supervisor Kurt Hagman, who's going to make a presentation on behalf of the county.
Thank you, Mayor. Karen, Chief, it's always a pleasure to be here in front of the Chino audience. This is bittersweet as well. I had an opportunity to work with you for a long time in the last 10 years in different positions. And I think one of the things you need to kind of know is your reputation department, okay? It is second to none in the San Bernardino County and the Inland Empire. You guys are large enough to handle anything, but small enough that the neighbors know your officers' names and they work together well. And you lead by example by giving back to your community on your off time, by volunteering, by being that person for the youth and for this Optimist and all the different organizations, and so is your officers throughout the department. That's what makes Chino such a unique and such a great community. Because of that, you're connected. It's not just doing the job. They're connected. They're part of the community all the time, and that's led by example for you. I'm very jealous. You planned this very young. You're younger than I, and you're retired at full boat right now at Chief at the top of your field. So you did an excellent job, and you seem very focused from the time you're in elementary school on up to become what you did, and you accomplished it in the most shortest period of time to do it. But I'm very pleased that you get to go on retirement. I know you're not going to leave the community alone. You'll be volunteering and be part of it and be integral to the whole community all the time. On behalf of the County of San Bernardino, I always want to say thank you. Thank you for the partnership. Thank you for, we have several county assets in your area that you always work very well with us, you and your team, and it's been a pleasure working with you all these years, and I wish you the best in retirement, although I don't think we're going to say goodbye because I'll see you in a different uniform here very shortly. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Supervisor Hagman. Thank you very much.
Karen, Ari, hold those for you. Okay, next we have a presentation from the Chino Valley Fire District. Our President, John DeMonico, Vice President Harvey Luth, Director Mike Krieger, and Director Sarah Ramos-Evinger. Oh, I'll do that next. Sorry.
We're all coming up because we're going to miss you. Karen, on behalf of the fire district, we really appreciate the partnership we've had and everything that we've done together. There's been a lot of things done between Chino Valley Fire and Chino Police, and we really appreciate everything and the support. But, you know, police cars are black and white and fire trucks are red, so we've got something big and red for you to put on your wall. But with that, we want to commend you on your service. Enjoy retirement. You're probably going to be busier than you've ever been. And you're not going to get paid for it either. So enjoy it. But and the nice thing is the check does come every month on the 1st. But with that, I'd like to present to you. Chief, thank you for your service, and we really appreciate it, and we'll miss you. And Wes, you've got big shoes to fill, wherever Wes is.
Thank you, John. It's
So-
absolutely beautiful. And thank you to the fire
Oh.
district. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have, so, Karen, if you're not going to use the blue sparkly shoes, you know where they can go because everyone knows I love the Dodgers and sparkly, so, and bling, yes. So, I guess I'm out. I just want to congratulate you. You've been a fabulous partner to us. Appreciate your hard work and dedication. I admired you, and I admire the fact that you're already retiring, and I'll be around working for a long time. But we truly have appreciated you over the many years that I've had an opportunity to work with you. Congratulations, and enjoy, and go blue.
Karen, you and I have talked a few times already. Just, again, congratulations. As we said, thank you for the great partnership between the two departments. It's just wonderful. I think it helps make our communities just that much better. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call up Mayor Cynthia Moran from the City of Chino Hills, and also I believe that Councilmember Peter Rogers is here as well.
It's been a pleasure to know you professionally since I was elected to City Council, but more importantly, it was so nice to get to know you as a person and to call you a friend now, Karen. So I am sad to see you retire, but I know that we will still keep in touch because I always have police questions for you. And you're just a wealth of information, and when people want to learn, you want to share that information, and you just have the most sincere heart of good, and that's what we need, and that's what we've gotten in you. And I say we because even though we're in Chino Hills, we've considered you, your leadership has affected our city as well. So we thank you for that. With that, here's a certificate. Thank you, and I'll let Peter say a few words.
Thanks, Cynthia. The reason you're here from Cynthia is that she's asking for people to bail her out of jail usually. So that's the. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. thank you for everything, Karen. I mean, the synergy we have with our cities is kind of unsurpassed in the region, as far as I'm concerned. And it's because of you and the leadership you've had with your police force and with the city itself. We've got a great working relationship, and we value that, and it's because of you and others like you. So thank you for everything you've done for Chino Valley. Thank you, Karen.
Okay, next we have Board President James Na of the Chino Valley Unified School District Board of Education. And with him is retired Superintendent James, God, my mind just went blank. Wayne Joseph. Good heavens.
Yes, we have a special guest, our retired Superintendent, Mr. Wayne Joseph, and yes, he might be very busy in his retirement. I'm just kidding, but Karen is such a great person. We're here not because she was our former student, but she was such a great person that our youth. Just remember last week talking to a elementary girl student, and I asked her, I said, what do you want to do when you grow up? And she says, I want to be a police officer. And her mom says, yes, like Chief Comstock. So this is what it takes. It's the community that she had built. I remember when she wasn't just an officer, and I told her that you are going to be a chief one day. Now she's already retiring. But I believe we have the best county supervisor. Mr. Hagman is here. Our city mayors and the fire department. Truly, the Chino Valley is an awesome place. And I truly support our leadership in the City of Chino, Eunice, and all the city councilmen. And our #1 city manager, Matt, thank you for all your help. Truly, it's a blessing. And Karen is not just herself, but she's part of us. She's our family member. And it stays on here and also go on upstairs, because we have the trust and we have the love that she had practiced as a servant leader. So thank you for being a friend, being a loving person, and I love you forever. Thank you.
When Mr. Na called me last week, I knew I had to come out of my retirement home to thank you for your leadership when I was superintendent. Whenever I called you, whether it was about a student, whether it was about a staff member, or whether it was about one of my bosses, you always responded expeditiously. Your leadership is really a model for others. You know, there's that old axiom that the good leader is one who inspires others to have confidence in the leader. But the great leader is one who inspires others to have confidence in themselves. That's what you did here. This police department is a model for other police departments throughout this country. And it's because of your leadership. There was always a sense that I had as superintendent that there was a spiritual part of your leadership, as well as your predecessor, Chief Pruitt, that you treated everyone, any one of your officers, everyone on the street, everyone in the community with dignity and with grace. It's hard to find. You will be sorely missed, Chief. Sorely missed.
Are you going to give her the certificate, James, or are you going to take it home? Next, I'd like to call up Saul Guerrera, Deputy Director for the Office of Congresswoman Norma Torres, representing California's 35th District.
Thank you. Good evening to everyone and to Chief. I am almost left without words tonight. I think everyone tonight has shared so much about what you've done for the city and the department, and on behalf of Congresswoman Norma Torres, I know firsthand how appreciative she is of you. You certainly lead by example, and for one, your accessibility goes beyond words. Your dedication truly stood out. Anytime our office needed guidance, assistance, by your expertise, you were always there to help the Congresswoman lead in Washington, D.C. And so unfortunately, while she could not be here, she took the House floor a few weeks ago to personally recognize you permanently in the United States history. And tonight I have the archived book of that. So you are part of the American history. So congratulations on that. And I hope that we will be able to stay in touch and still look forward if we should ever have any additional concerns, because we certainly do appreciate, and we couldn't have done it without you, with all the support. So thank you.
Thank you. So tell the Congresswoman I said thank you.
I'd like to call up Vanessa Huarco, District Representative for the office of Senator Connie Leyva, representing the 20th State Senate District.
So here's another red resolution from the California State Senate on behalf of a fellow conquistador. The senator also attended Don Lugo High School. So Don Lugo produces exemplary leaders who stay in their communities and are just lead with character, integrity, and hard work. And I believe that that is the greatest legacy that you can leave any organization. So congratulations on your retirement. I know the senator always valued your communication with her on different policy issues. You would text her, you would call her, and so thank you so much for that as well.
Next is Jacqueline Escobar, District Representative for the office of Assemblymember Freddie Rodriguez, representing the 52nd State Assembly District.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of Assemblymember Freddie Rodriguez, I would like to present this resolution to Chief Comstock. Thank you for your years of service and dedication to the Chino Police Department. You've made history by becoming the first woman to lead the department and the first female chief in any inland valley city. So that's truly admirable. As you already know, you can always reach out to Assemblymember Freddie Rodriguez. Thank you. Enjoy your retirement.
Okay, those are all the official presentations. Now I think it would be entirely appropriate for the gentleman who's going to try to fill those enormous tiny shoes, Wes Simmons, to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. And we have several of our employees here tonight. If you guys could please come on up as well. Come on up. And retired Captain Keith Bassard, please come on up. So Chief, I just want to reiterate about how excited I am for you to retire. I don't know.
David Allen's here.
Truly, you have been a mentor to all of us. We would not be here in our positions if it had not been for you. You've helped pave the way for us. You've been a great leader, a great teacher, and just a great person. We're going to miss you tremendously. Fortunately, I've got your phone number in the first position of my phone to call when I have those questions at 1 in the morning. and I will be calling. So keep your ringer on. But again, thank you so much for all you've done for the Chino Police Department, and we look forward to you moving back into this community and serving you in that way.
For a picture. And of course, the short people in front, Chris. What was it Keith always said? Stand up, Chris? Oh, you are standing up. I'll never forget that. I couldn't help it.
Please stand.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to say anything about Chief Comstock? Okay, well, this is a mixed emotion night. We're going to miss Karen, no doubt. She has set such a fantastic example for everyone. She has helped to build an absolutely fabulous police department, and that culture is so precious that it needs to be nurtured and needs to be protected. And so she's passing that wand on to you, all of you, to keep up that spirit of the Chino Police Department.
First of all, I'm in trouble with the mayor because my family's not here, and I knew she'd be frustrated. But my mom had a foot surgery, a very serious foot surgery, and she's convalescing at home. My father is caring for her. And that's one of my first calls in retirement, is to help my family. But I wasn't worried about that tonight, to be honest with you. As I look across the room, I can name every single person sitting here, and you are my family. The police department is my family. This community is my family. I've been raised in this community, educated, corrected, disciplined. Yes, the mayor has always kept me in my lane, appropriately so. And I just can't tell you how honored I have been to be your chief of police. It has been the greatest responsibility of my life. To the fire department, I'm proud of the relationship we have with you. It's a role model for success, like Wayne Joseph was mentioning. We're one of the first agencies after a critical incident in the city of Los Angeles to say, hey, we're going to train together an active shooter response in order to protect lives and people during critical incidents. And I'm proud of the collaboration that we've had to train together in order to make sure we provide the best first responder safety in our community. And that's networked with the chain of life to the Chino Valley Medical Center. And that is part of the beautiful layer of protection that we provide to our community 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year long. To the school district, I can tell you that the men and women of the Chino Police Department consider those children our children. And guarding them and protecting them and ensuring their safety on those campuses is one of our first priorities. And we want them all to be successful. We want them to graduate from high school and go on to meaningful and productive lives. And being a part of that has been just so wonderful for all of us. So thank you. To my Seroptimus members and other volunteer organizations in the community, I consider you genuinely sisters. The service that you provide in this community is amazing. I believe in your mission, and I'm hoping to do even more now that I don't have the responsibility of the chief of police and those duties on my shoulders any longer. But each of you is great, and the mission is wonderful, and I'm proud to be a member of Seroptimus. To all the other service clubs in this community, you're what makes Chino great. You know, to my EMT members, I spoke to you earlier today at EMT, thank you all. Without each of you, I could not have been successful. You're a great team. You're an intelligent team of people. I've sat in meetings each week. To the city manager, thank you, Matt. I've told people you inherited Miles, right, when we picked you, but you selected me as your first chief of police, and I want to thank you for giving me that opportunity. It means a lot to me, and I have worked my hardest, sir, to leave that department just a little bit better than I found it. And I know for a fact today that it is, and it's in the good hands of your next chief of police and Captain Simmons. Back to EMT, you are part of giving good government to this community. There's a lot of EMT members in different cities that have a different perspective on good governing. And I can tell the members of this community, I've had a front row seat to it now for the past 5 years. Your financial responsibility, your prudence, your wisdom, and your input into making Chino the best community it can be is amazing, and you should be proud of yourselves. I've been proud to be a part of your team. To the community and everybody else here, just thank you. I look at each of you, and at one point or another, I've had interactions with you and engagement that has been meaningful. It's served to better this community. It's served to keep it safe. And I look at all of you, and at one point or another, I can think of a particular circumstance or instance where I've asked you for help or you've asked me for help, and all we've done is come together to try and make Chino a safer and better place to live. And I do believe that Chino is a wonderful place to raise a family, to work and to play and to go to school. And it's not just because of me, but it's because of you. Yes, law enforcement and public safety is a cornerstone to any good community, but it's all of your work as well. And I couldn't have done it without you and without your support, and I mean that. Each of you has played a role in the success of the Chino Police Department. And then just lastly to my coworkers, you are remarkable professionals. It's been my honor to be your chief of police. We set off 5 years ago to face challenges that were coming our way with a specific vision, and we've done it. We've implemented it. And the Chino Police Department, I stated it before, is on a trajectory for success. I do believe that the Chino Police Department is blessed with the Lord's favor as well as the city of Chino. I will miss you. I respect you. May God bless all of you. Thank you, Mayor. This swag is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So thank you very much.
Put your shoes on, Karen. On July 25th at 7:30, Chief Comstock is going to have her walk of honor at the Chino Police Department. And I feel very comfortable inviting members of the public and anyone who knows Karen to please attend that. It's a very, very moving ceremony. It'll be held out in front of the police department. And she is putting on her shoes right now. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I will ask our attorney, Fred Galante, to please report out of our first portion of closed session.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the council and audience. The City Council met in closed session on the two items of existing litigation under item B of the closed session agenda, beginning with item 1, Monte Vista Water District and City of Chino versus the Dow Chemical Company and additional parties. The City Council received an update, held a discussion about the status of that case, and by motion of Councilmember Hargrove, seconded by Councilmember Lucio, and carried 5-0, the City Council agreed to approve a settlement with one of the several defendants in that case, namely FMC, again, FMC Corporation, for $101,250 as a full settlement of that party's potential liability in exchange for full releases in a settlement agreement to be executed by the parties. Item B, or item B2, Kevin Klein versus City of Chino, workers' compensation item. The City Council received an update, provided direction, and no further reportable action was taken. That concludes the report out of closed session.
Okay, thank you very much.
For the time being, and the council will recess back to discuss item number 1.
Thank you very much. Before proceeding, I do have to ask Karen to come up front and model the blue shoes. All the way up front. Hold your foot up. Karen has class. Okay, Mr. Ballantyne, are there any agenda additions or revisions?
I have no changes to the agenda, Mayor.
Okay, next public announcements. First, once again, this Friday in front of City Hall, we have our next installment of Movies on the Lawn. Like always, admissions to the Movies on the Lawn is free with a variety of food vendors available to everyone starting at 6:30 p.m. For this Friday, July 19th, Movies on the Lawn will showcase the Lego Movie 2 with Captain Marvel rounding out 2019's Movies on the Lawn series on Friday, July 26th. So please make sure you don't miss out, and please call our Community Services Department at 909-334-3258 for any questions. Also, the Chino Kiwanis Club's annual summer concerts on the lawn is already underway and will happen every Thursday until August 15th in front of City Hall. As always, this is a free event, and each concert will begin at 7 p.m. and will finish around 9 p.m. For this Thursday, all participants can look forward to Soto, an R&B Latin band, with great food available for purchase from the Chino Kiwanis Club. For any questions, please call the Kiwanis Club at 909-334-3486. And lastly, please make a note that we will be canceling the August 6th regular council meeting for National Night Out, and we'll hold a special called City Council meeting on Wednesday, August 7th at the Preserve Community Center, located at 15800 Main Street, Chino, of course, California, starting at 7 p.m. For any questions, please call the admin department at 909-334-3304. Next item on the agenda is public communication. This is the time and the place for the general public to address the council about items that are not listed elsewhere. We'll be happy to take your comments, but cannot take any action on anything that's not agendized. Our first request to speak is Mr. Rob Burns, who's going to provide us with an invocation. I'll invite all of those who would like to join us to please stand.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council and the audience. Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, what a privilege it is to be able to come before you tonight and to celebrate Karen's retirement. And just thank you for, Lord, her trust in you. Pray that you would watch over her as she goes about the next phase of her life. And Lord, we know that you've just helped her to be a success in all she's done. We pray also for Wes, Lord, as he's coming into the position. And we know, Lord, that he trusts in you as well. And we just pray that your hand would be upon him and all the police officers, and that they'd be able to do their jobs, to be safe, and to just honor you in all they do. We pray that you'd be over these proceedings tonight. Lord, it's an awesome responsibility to have the freedoms that we have. We pray that we would honor those freedoms, act in a responsible manner, and, Lord, do the people's business. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Rob. Okay. Let's see. We have quite a few requests to speak this evening. Okay, that's item number 4. I'd like to call on Mr. Giladaco. He would like to introduce the new Executive Director of Chino Basin Water Conservation District.
That was quite a touching tribute and send-off, so well done. Congratulations. Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, and members of the audience. My name is Gil Aldaco. I'm with the Chino Basin Water Conservation District. I'm one of 7 Board of Directors. I'm here today to introduce our district's new Executive Director. She brings new perspectives, leadership, and a diverse administrative and environmental background. And we feel certain that her talents in these areas will successfully expand the district's outreach, its programs, and the sustainability of the Chino Basin into the future. Before I introduce her, though, I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to recognize 2 persons that contributed greatly to the district. They are the city's mayor and the assistant city manager. Mayor Ulloa previously served as the district's executive director, and Vivian Castro served as the district's acting executive director. I am proud to say these 2 women worked arduously on the makeover of the district's facilities and fearlessly on its continued existence. Thank you. Please welcome our new executive director, Elizabeth Skurzak.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, members of the public. Congratulations. You look fabulous in those shoes. So I was told just this afternoon that I had some rather large shoes to fill myself, and that you, Mayor Ulloa, and Ms. Castro have led the district through a series of changes, including building the new facilities, and I really look forward to getting to know you and to learning from both of you about the district and about the wonderful partnership that it's shared with Chino. And I really look forward to working with all of you in the future. So thank you so much for being so welcoming to the community, and congratulations again. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Next is, okay, Magdi Demian. I apologize if I did not get that right.
No, that's correct. Hi, good evening, Mayor and city members. Actually, I'd like to present about 150 riders for the 497 bus from Foothill Transit in Chino Park and Ride stop. Lately, we have, just to give you a brief about the history, that they asked to eliminate the line last year, and with the mayor's support here and the Chino Hills as well, the mayor and the council members, we've been able to stop that elimination of the line. This year they came again and they would like to eliminate the line again. However, the problem is that we have no choice. We have about 75% from riders from Chino and Chino Hills, in fact, and also the rider from Corona, Fontana, Eastvale, Chino and Chino Hills, all these people, and Ontario too. All these riders will lose their commute as a public service to downtown LA. In this case, I don't know what we can do because they give us some time, and there is a hearing on August 10 to represent this action to be taken. But with your support, which we need your support and help to stop that elimination for public service, and everybody will be hurt if this line will be stopped. We have to drive more. Actually, last year they asked us to drive over to Fairplex stop over there, and we have to drive more. We have some choices to drive more as well. So this is everybody came from other city will drive much more to reach his destination. For our options is to go to other cities to take buses like Pomona or maybe San Dimas or other cities to pick up other like 495, 499, or 699, which will harm our citizens to go and further drive in the morning and specifically afternoon where the traffic will be impacted. This line has been running for 20 years as is, but the problem is the Foothill Transit is the cause of the problem because they designed this line to take riders from our stop here in Chino, and in addition to a stop further from us, and the bus has to go through Service Street route to pick up for city industry in City Hall, in City of Industry. And this is what slowed down the line and get the ridership lower, because nobody would desire to take that bus because of this long route. So they prefer to drive more and have less commute instead of taking. That's why this is, according to their analysis, this is the lowest ridership and the highest cost of all lines. So because of their design, so we ask them to redesign this line to eliminate this stop on the way. We are the furthest from downtown LA, in addition to the extra drive by the bus to reach the other stop. So we ask them to eliminate the in-between line, but we accept, because this is running by LA County, we accept to have any stop on the way, because we have to stop in LA County according to LA funding, So we accept to stop on the way, not to drive more and take longer commute. We ask the council if any representative can be in the public hearing for that in August 10. Will be Saturday. If we appreciate if somebody will or some representative from the city will be there, will be appreciated. Also, we suggested a few suggestions to overcome this problem. Number one is to extend one of the lines, existing line like 495 from Brea Road, Brea Canyon Road, to come and pick us up, and we can continue have the service in Chino. Second suggestion is to put this line in trial for at least 6 months to with the elimination of City Industrial City Hall. In that case, we can prove that the ridership will come back and the cost will be much less. The third suggestion, which they suggested last time when we tried to eliminate, is to reduce the number of trips, morning and afternoon. We have 13 each morning and afternoon. We can reduce it for some lower number. That will increase, that will reduce the cost, and we satisfy them as a cost compared to other lines. Their target or their goal is to have fund from the City of Chino or City of Chino Hills or from the San Bernardino County, which they communicated with all, and they said they refused to fund.
Well, Mr. Damon, you are out of time, but what I will do is I will ask our city manager to direct our public works director to look into this. And you were saying that Chino Hills Council has already been involved in it?
Yes, yes.
So
we
perhaps our staff can network with their city manager and determine the status of this route and what's happening.
Sure. Just one more question, and I don't know is that possible or not. If we help with the fund, this is one thing. The second, if there is any way to have as a service for San Bernardino County and the two great cities here, Chino and Chino Hills, to have a line running by the city or the county here to go to downtown LA. This is a suggestion, maybe long term, but it is a suggestion. We don't have this service to downtown LA.
Okay.
So this is the question.
Very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
I have
bringing
some
that to our
paper
attention.
to distribute to all of the council members.
Larry Dalma. Uncle? You want me to call you Uncle Larry Dalma? Yes. Okay, Uncle Larry Dalma.
I'm Uncle Larry Dalma.
Okay.
Can I do something really weird and stand on that side and talk to these three?
Well, you're supposed to be addressing us, but you can
Okay.
turn sideways.
Okay. First of all, Chief, thank you for a job well done. The main reason I'm here is about one of the police officers Thursday night who probably did more than 5 minutes for public relations positively at the concert in the park, and it wasn't my nephew. But Officer Blanco, if you guys were here at the concert in the park, when they asked the people to do the line dancing, he got up in front and he stole the show.
Seems like we should need a demonstration. So, Wes, I think perhaps at your first meeting, we should have the officer come and show what he can do. It's a challenge. Okay, next is Richard Sherman.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm back again for another update. Since I spoke on July 2nd, there have been 15 low late-night flights over East Chino. I'm hoping to get this message to the FedEx people if they're in attendance tonight. Some of these flights, several of the FedEx flights have been over East Chino at 5:15, 3:10, at 3,000 feet. I understand that there is an issue where they want to do business with Chino, and I was hoping that they would consider being good neighbors and work with the city as far as the late night noise and consider trying to remediate the problem that's been causing us issues for years. not just recently. We've been talking about this for many years, about the late night noise. And I'm just pressing this issue again. I've sent messages to Mr. Ballantyne, trying to get some sort of information and trying to figure things out.
Well, I appreciate you being here and
Asking for help.
keeping in front of us. I know Matt certainly experiences the noise as many other people do. I'm out like 5 o'clock in the morning and I see it too.
Well, this is affecting almost 35,000 people.
I understand.
In Ontario, East Chino, and Montclair. So
I
I'm
know.
one of many, many people that are affected by this. And I've lived in Chino for 41 years, so I know it's here, and it's nothing new.
No. Well, we had it under control for many years and then it slowly slipped.
Yeah,
But
it
we
really
are,
has.
I know we are working on it.
And they're doing $100 million expansion on the airport right now, so I don't know if it's going to get worse or what's going to happen. But anyhow, the message is to FedEx, work with us, be a good neighbor, try to be
That's-
considerate and respectful of us.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you,
thank you.
Richard. Thank you very much. Veronica Nunez.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. I'm in the same vein as Mr. Sherman. I wrote a letter to Mayor Ulloa a couple weeks ago regarding the noise. I live at the easternmost end of Chino on Euclid Avenue in the Crystal Lane community. I've lived there since 2011, and the noise has gotten worse progressively until this year. As I was telling Mr. Sherman, I like to sleep with my windows open at night. I don't want to pay for air conditioning, so I like the fresh air, but the noise is just incredible. I actually feel like the airplane is going to crash into my home. I get scared that that's going to happen. It's that loud. And I've invited Mayor or any of the council members to come to my home and feel it, that the whole house shakes. The earthquake, the 7.1 or whatever was nothing compared to this. My dogs are scared. I have to take a sleeping pill in order to sleep and to stay asleep, because as soon as I go down, there comes that 11:30, 12 o'clock one. Then there's another one at 2 a.m. I think part of it is the FedEx and the UPS. I'm on a website or an app that wants me to get the tail number, the time, and I'm like, I'm not getting up at 2 a.m. or whatever to go out there and try to see the tail number of the plane. I don't have the binoculars to do that. So I think you're talking to the airport. I think you're talking to somebody there. I'm going to attend a meeting next month with the airport community, but something has to be done because it's really, really getting bad. And I thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you, Veronica.
Thank you.
Zeb Wellborn.
Good evening. I want to kind of talk about a couple of things. One of the things I wanted to talk about was impressions. Chief Comstock, I've had the fortunate opportunity to sit down with her on multiple occasions, and I've always been extremely impressed the way she's handled herself in personal correspondence, but then more so the way that she carries herself in the scenarios in public, and the things that she's done and said sets a really strong positive example for our community and people. And I just want to share that because from a peripheral level, somebody who just sees and observes things, it's just amazing and remarkable the way that she's taking care of the city and the stuff that she's done. So on behalf of the business community and the people that are here, I really want to thank her for that, just because she does present something to aspire to. And I think that we're very fortunate to have her here, and unfortunate to have her go, and I know it's happy for her, but I did want to address that briefly. The second thing I want to talk about was our upcoming Business Awards and Recognition Dinner. So on this Thursday, July 18th, we're having our Business Awards and Recognition Dinner. Chief Simmons, incoming Chief Simmons, has agreed to do the induction of our board of directors, so we're excited about that. So thank you for agreeing to do that. And we're going to be honoring our businesses that are in the Chino Valley community. So we have Chino Business of the Year Awards, Chino Hills Business of the Year Awards, and we're going to kind of recap the year of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce and what we've been able to accomplish this year. I just wanted to share, I know I've kind of talked about this before, but I wanted to share we've kind of got the year under wraps, and so it gives it, and our year operates on a fiscal year, so we finished at the end of June. So we've got kind of results back on that. We have more members, and I joined in 2012, so this is kind of my history with the chamber, but we have more members than we've ever had, so we're up over 400. We've grown drastically over the last year. We've had, in terms of our chairman circles, which is like our big sponsors and big businesses that are supporting the chamber, we've nearly doubled our sponsorship level this year. We've had our event attendance and revenue that comes in from event have grown over 30% this year. So on all levels, we're kind of, I share that just to say that we're growing. Our business community is growing, we're getting more interconnected, and we're doing better things for the community. And we also added another, like, a golf tournament and some other things that have been added into the repertoire of the things that we do from a Chamber of Commerce so that we can give back to businesses and local nonprofits. So it's been a very successful year, and I'm really excited about sharing that with everybody at our Chino Valley Business Awards and Recognition Dinner. We're also going to honor businesses that have achieved, and they've been with the Chamber for 5 years, 10 years, 25 years, and like I mentioned before, we're having our induction of our board members. So Mark Hargrove, our council member Mark Hargrove is one of our board members, so we'll be inducting him, so we're excited about that too. So I just want to thank you all for allowing us to be a part of your community, for working with us on our businesses and making a difference, so thank you.
You're welcome. Ray, oh dear. Shu, okay, it's XU, I don't know how to pronounce XU.
That's perfectly fine.
Shu?
Shu.
Shu?
Yep. That's very close. Good evening, Mayor and council members and member in the audience here. My name is Ray Xu. I live in Chino Hills. I have been living in Chino Hills since 2008. And I'm here, have the same agenda with MACD, who actually just presented just now for the potential elimination of Foothill Express Line 497. I'm actually a backup for him, and he was going to actually go to City of Chino Hills for other events, but he showed up. I actually have a great agenda, great presentation as you can see, but it's a repeating from what Magni was talking about. So I'm not going to repeat what he's talking. I'm just going to give some from a different perspective. First of all, I think we'd like to thank you, Mayor, for your support in our round one last August. From the background Magni was mentioning about, you and City Mayor and Chino Hills City Mayor actually wrote a letter to the Foothills to support this effort. Because of that, the first round of elimination of the Express Line 497 was actually canceled. They canceled the plan. So thank you so much for your support in the first round. So second round, this is their second round. So in the second round, and in the first round, personally, I think there's a hidden agenda from Foothills. When we talk with the Foothill staff, it sounds like the hidden agenda is they need funding from City of Chino and City of Chino Hills. Basically, they were saying that other cities were actually doing support funding. Chino and Chino Hills does not actually do anything, or San Bernardino County, there's nothing supported to Foothill Transit. And that's why on their, real obvious agenda, they were talking about, oh, the cost was high. This is the lower ridership line, the lowest ridership line, and they're losing the most money, and which can be true, but I don't think that's something that they wanted to actually, that's the main reason or key reason they wanted to actually eliminate this line. So I'm here, or we're here to represent approximately about 150 riders from Chino Hill Park and Ride for the Express Bus 497. So that's a big amount number, and let's say if they designed this line or redesigned the line in a different way that took a little shorter than the current design communication map, you would see more and more riders for this bus line for sure. Just give you an idea. I leave my home around 7 o'clock in the morning. I take the line. it's taking me about 1 hour and a half to 2 hours to get to downtown LA. I work for Southern California Gas Company, which is in Financial District in Gas Tower. It's 5th and Grand. So the commute in the morning, it probably costs about 1 hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on the day. Coming back, it's actually even more challenging because it's actually taking about 2 hours. So my commute, just from here, Chino Hills Valley, Chino Valley to downtown LA to my work, door to door, we're talking about 4 to 5 hours. That's how poorly designed this express bus line is. Okay, I know the time is very limited. I wanted to read something to you. Because Magni showed up, I don't want to repeat what he's talking about, so I did a little quick research online. Teleport.org is basically, they're actually trying to provide information on public transportation and all the commute site. And in the Ask Local area, I find a message saying, I was wondering how realistic or difficult is it to commute from City of Chino. I'm in my last year at UC Irvine and would prefer to stay home for a couple of years to save money. However, there are not many computer science related jobs in this area. I also interested in working in downtown LA in general, and like to know how do I commute from downtown LA, from Chino to downtown LA. So this is one of your citizens here in Chino, and many of us, representing many of us. So I really appreciate your attention here. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ray. Jacqueline Escobar from Assemblyman Freddie Rodriguez's office.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and community members. My name is Jacqueline, and I'm the new field representative for Assemblymember Freddie Rodriguez, and I cover the City of Chino. I'm here to invite you guys to our annual summer barbecue. It will be taking place Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. It will be held at our district office just down the street. The event will include a program honoring community members, food, music, activities, and booths from local entities. I left flyers in the front for everyone. Thank you for your time. We hope to see you all there.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Next written request to speak is Connie Ray. This is probably the same subject. Right? Right.
Yeah, I'm tag teaming on to Magni. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. I want to also thank Ms. Comstock because as a park and ride person, we have called on them to help us, and they're always there, and they're very supportive. I want to also thank the Chino Champion for giving us a voice about a month ago. And I think you guys have probably heard everything. I don't want to be a broken record. I just want to say I'm thankful that we're able to park there. I've been working in LA for 36 years, and I've always taken public transportation. I spent most of that time driving back and forth, commuting, dropping my daughter off at school in West Covina, and then taking the 498 out of LA, or out of West Covina, excuse me. And the big thing has been LA County has been very much a part of the funding for them. And so most of the lines have have gone from there. But I think it's really important that Chino and Chino Hills are able to be a part of that public transportation situation, where we can say that you're on board with us and taking cars off the road and putting more people on public transportation. I think it's, given the fact that there's so many people now on the roads, it's nice to have that many cars off the road. And the other thing is we're a community, and that wasn't touched upon. When you ride the bus that long, you get to know people. And we are a community of riders. And Chino is important to us. We're part of this community. And I have to tell you, there are many a times that I get so upset because I watch some of the people parking at the park and ride that are not part of us. They'll open up their van doors, they'll dump trash out, they will urinate in bottles and put them all over the park and just throw them wherever. They've put bottles of beer in my truck bed. These are people that are not there day in and day out. They pop in, they come over from Home Depot to catch a ride, and so they don't really understand and respect this community. And we do, and I live in Chino Hills, but I have to say I'm proud to be part of the Chino community. I'm here every morning. I'm there at 5 o'clock every morning, catch the bus into LA, I come home at night, and it matters to me what I see when I get off the freeway. I want people to look at Chino and say, wow, this is a great place, just like we know it is. And so whatever I can do to be a part of that, I mean, I'm more than willing to go and do work days to clean up. I get so frustrated with the Caltrans because they don't maintain things properly. I have called Sacramento, I have called San Bernardino, and I'm told that a local resident is part of Caltrans and he sees that every day. And I just, wow. I mean, to me, it's so important to take care of things, you know, and it's a privilege to park there. And so I just want to say thank you for that. And thank you for listening to us tonight.
You're welcome, and thank you for coming down. And same subject, Monica Gonzalez.
Good evening, Mayor. Congratulations, and I love the shoes. Yes, I am Monica Gonzalez. I'm like the others bus riders as well. I work in Beverly Hills. I've been working there for 31 years. My commute is 2 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon. So I am appealing to you, please intervene if you can help, and hopefully one of your representatives can attend with us the August 10th meeting with our fight against Foothill. We won it last time. We are hoping to delay it again. They are threatening to cancel online, and I don't know what we're going to be doing. Like Connie said and Mike did, we are a community, and I keep hearing you guys when you guys were celebrating her, and of course this is a community. I live in Chino Hills for over 20 years, and I'm appealing to you, please. Do something for us. Talk to them. Help with funding, anything we can do. Like Connie says, we also report anything that's going on in the park and ride. I've called many times, and I've gotten a lot of help myself. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Monica, you said that hearing is on August 10th?
August 10th.
And where are they holding this hearing?
I'm sorry.
Where are they holding the hearing?
And we're all going to be there.
Where is it?
West Covina.
West Covina?
Foothill Transit Building.
Okay.
Thank you.
Citrus. Okay, thank you. Okay, those are the only written requests to speak. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the council on an issue that's not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, I did fail to point out that there is an information item on part of our agenda about the Economic Development Report, June 2019. Very, very interesting information if any of you are interested in finding out our economic stability. I have a question about the report, though. There is a notation that our El Prado Road will be closed July 17th through December 5th because we're redoing that whole street. Is it going to be 100% closed or partially closed?
No, it'll be partially closed.
So there will be at least one lane open?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a consent calendar. I'm going to pull item number 4 because we have a public request to speak on that item. Do any council members wish to have any items pulled?
I would like to pull, let's say, item 10. It's really related to
Okay.
10 below, but I just want to make a comment.
So pull that one,
So just
okay.
10.
All right. Any other items? Do the public members wish to have any items pulled? Okay, seeing none, then I would entertain a motion for the balance of the consent calendar. There's a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, second from Councilman Hargrove, and the balance of the consent calendar passes unanimously. Item number 4 was requested to be pulled by Stubby Bar. This is award of contract, Cedro Avenue at Riverside Drive for ADA improvements, AKA sidewalk crosswalk modification project. Let's see, our staff report this evening.
I'll provide it, Mayor.
Okay, is by our city manager, Matt Ballantyne. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council, for the audience and provide a report. In a good faith effort to address litigation initiated by Frontier Communities, the City Council's directed staff to correct accessibility deficiencies associated with their project known as Cypress Villas. Specifically, Council's direction was to correct the deficiencies associated with the path of travel located on Cedro and Riverside Drive. The city published the bid documents on Planet Bids, which is an online platform, on June 27th and advertised in the Chino Champion. Staff received comments to the bid documents, and corrections were made in the form of addendums. On July 12th, the city received 7 bids, and the lowest bidder was CT&T Concrete and Paving from Diamond Bar in the amount of $36,160. Staff recommends the council appropriate $39,776 and award a bid to CT&T Concrete and Paving. This concludes my report, and staff is available to answer any questions the council may have.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Stubby?
I was anticipating a little more information in the staff report. So I have several things to point out. And this goes back to our closed session issue with the Brown Act. The staff report indicates that direction was given to staff to perform this bid. The purpose of the closed session exceptions in the Brown Act is to protect confidential information. Pretty simple. That's why you go into closed session, so that something is not confidential, doesn't get leaked out. A public bid, a public contract issuance is not confidential in any way, shape, or form. So it appears that direction was given from closed session to do something, to perform an action, which is not part of, it may be related to, but it is not part of settlement negotiations. In addition, the bid process itself, in this case, was not handled according to the law. The bid was defective. It had, I believe it was 4 defects, 5 actually, if you want to count the lack of estimate. I notified Matt, was it the end of week before last? Corrections were made. However, the corrections were not made until the day before the corrected posted bid date was applied. Public Contract Code requires a minimum accurate posting of accurate information 10 days minimum prior to the opening of a bid. So if you award this bid, you're awarding a bid that was not, the process for awarding it was not done in compliance with the law and not done within compliance with the best interests of the public. Thank you.
Okay, I would like staff comment on that. Did we violate the timing?
I can actually respond to both comments on the Brown Act. The council is absolutely authorized to discuss potential settlement in closed session and potential litigation strategy in closed session. If the council authorizes a range of potential settlement, the Brown Act absolutely does not require reporting that out unless that is the final agreement. As I did earlier today on the other litigation matter, the council's approval would be final in that settlement. That's why I reported that out. The reason why the Brown Act does not require reporting out of a settlement until it's final is because unless the other side agrees to those terms, you've now revealed the closed session strategy and settlement parameters. So I really don't understand that part of Mr. Barr's comment, with all due respect. The second component is that there is absolutely no legal requirement that council somehow authorize a bid if it's under $200,000. Any public works bid over $200,000 has to be, before it's bid out, has to be approved by council as well as the plans and specs have to be approved. This is for under 200,000, so the Public Contracts Code does not require that first step to go to City Council. On the 10-day requirement, that does not apply. If there is a significant change to a bid invitation for bid, then there is a minimum timeline required. The error in this bid was that 2 licenses were identified for the requirements for the contractor to have. One of the licenses was incorrect. Every other part of the bid specs, and I obviously defer to your Public Works staff, as I understand it, every other part of the bid specs was accurate. So that correction was made so that you don't get a bid from a contractor that has the wrong license to perform this work. The Public Contracts Code, and I can pull up the section, makes it clear that unless it's a fairly substantial change, that does not require that the timeline specified. So I feel comfortable that this was addressed.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the council? Okay, then I would ask for a motion either to approve, or if council decides to send this back, a motion to send it back. Okay, there's a motion from Councilman, our Mayor Pro Tem Tom Howie, second from Councilman Rodriguez, and your motion is to approve the item? Yes. Okay. Okay, based on our attorney's opinion, then this item is approved unanimously. Okay, Mr. Hargrove, you asked that item number 10 be pulled, and that is a purchase order for 2019 BMW R1250 RTP motorcycles. And did you have a specific question about this?
No, I just wanted to make a general statement, reading through the staff report, looking at those that were from item 10 down through, I think, item 19 are all related to purchase orders for a lot of vehicles. I don't know what the overall expenses for them, but one of the things that was most notable to me as I read through those, and I thought it stood out and needed to be mentioned, was that in the majority of these instances, the vehicles that we're replacing, which seems to be most of them on this list, are significantly aged. So I thought it was important to point out that however staff is doing it, when we're replacing 2005 vehicles that are 14 years old before we're having to buy new ones. I've been in agencies in the military and in the California state, and we didn't ever seem to get that longevity out of our vehicles. You know, so I commend generally just the staff that's operating these vehicles, that they must be taking very good care of them. I don't see vehicles on the road that are in disrepair and damaged, and if we're replacing them every 10 and up to 15 years, then we're doing a really good job on getting our bang for our buck. So that I just wanted to point out and tell you my appreciation for that, and I know that's a significant cost savings to the city.
It is. It absolutely
So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for pulling the item and bringing that to the public's attention. So I would request action on item number 10 then. Motion from Councilman Hargrove, second from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, and this item passes unanimously. Okay, next on the agenda is public hearing. Prior to a vote of the City Council, any member of the public will have the opportunity to address the council on any of the items listed under public hearings. And we request, but it's not required, that you state your name and address prior to making any remarks. Our first item is item number 20, Development Impact Fee, Nexus and Calculation Report, and Master Facilities Plan Update. This item is to approve the introduction of ordinance numbers 2019-007 and 2019-009, amending the Chino Municipal Code, Chapters 3.40 and 3.45, Development Impact Fees. Adoption of Resolution Number 2019-044, updating the Development Impact Fee Calculation Report and Master Facilities Plan, and Resolution Number 2019-043, adopting the contract and bidding requirements for public improvement policy. I'd like to declare the public hearing open and then ask for a staff report by our Director of Development Services, Nick Ligori.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. A development impact fee, or a DIF, we call them for short, is a rate charged by government agencies to offset the costs of building public infrastructure that is required by private development. The legal requirements for enactment of DIFs are set forth in California state law as the Mitigation Fee Act. In 1989, the city identified all of its capital needs through a general plan build-out scenario and calculated the DIF amounts with which to finance a proportional share of development-generated infrastructure. This was the first impact fee study that was conducted by the city's consultant revenue and cost specialists. A significant update to the DIF was conducted in 2003 and 2004 in order to account for the annexation of the preserve and the approval of College Park. In 2017, a new nexus study and report were developed and adopted that was inclusive of both what we call a citywide and preserve DIFs. This update addressed the capital cost of projects within the program, but did not update the text of the ordinance itself, which is contained in the municipal code. Staff is proposing now a comprehensive update to the DIF ordinance, as well as an annual update to the project costs. In addition, staff has developed a correlating policy for bidding and contract requirements for public improvements. The new ordinances establish requirements for the construction of public improvements by developers that would be eligible for reimbursement and credits against DIF. The updated ordinance, in conjunction with the comprehensive policy, will enable staff to create efficient procedures and effectively communicate the city's expectations to developers prior to construction of the public improvements. There are three other areas the new ordinance addresses: accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, additional land use categories, and park fees. Senate Bill 1069, which was adopted in the last legislative session, requires cities to adopt policies and ordinances that would facilitate and streamline the creation of accessory dwelling units. One of the provisions of the bill is that cities can only charge fees for accessory dwelling units commensurate with their level of impact. Staff has analyzed and proposed with the DIF update specific fees for ADUs to comply with the state law. Land use categories for a citywide DIF are proposed to be expanded to include a medium density detached category in order to be consistent with the preserve DIF structure and capture the cost impacts of this type of development separate from attached homes and lower density detached homes. An institutional category has also been created instead of lumping these uses into the commercial retail category, which the current ordinance does. Lastly, during the public review and comment period for the ordinances, the Building Industry Association reached out to staff and discussed the proposed changes. While they have generally agreed with the proposed changes, they did request some additional time to evaluate the proposed park fees and the land component of those fees. Staff is requesting that the council postpone action on the proposed park fees to a later meeting, as we would like additional time to evaluate the methodology that was used and obtain additional appraisals to accurately determine the land cost component of the fee. I would like to take a minute to acknowledge Management Analyst Sylvia Ramos and Assistant City Attorney Brian Wright Bushman, who did a lot of the work to bring this to you. This represents about 5 months of significant staff investment to do this comprehensive update. Staff therefore recommends that the City Council take the recommended actions as known in the staff report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Prior to inviting the public to speak on this item, I'd like to ask if council members have any questions. Okay, are there any members of the public that would like to address the council on this item, item number 20? Seeing none, then we will close the public hearing, and I will call for a motion and a second. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, second from Councilman Lucio. Mr. Galante, will you please read the ordinance titles into the record?
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor. The City Council is considering approval of, or first reading of the following two ordinances. Ordinance number 2019-007, entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino, California, amending Chapter 3.40, Development Impact Fees, to include updated procedures and standards pertaining to annual reimbursements, credits, and fee calculations, and to incorporate revisions to the updated DIF report and master facilities plan. And ordinance number 2019-009, entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino, California, amending Chapter 3.45, the Preserve Development Impact Fees, to include updated procedures and standards pertaining to annual reimbursements, credits, and fee calculations, and to incorporate revisions to the updated DIF report and master facilities plan, reading by title only and waiving further reading. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. And this item has passed with all 5 council members in support. Item number 21, parcel delivery facility. This is to the certification of the Chino Parcel Delivery Facility Environmental Impact Report, adoption of PL 160638, General Plan Amendment, and introduction of ordinance number 2019-008, PL 16-0639, Preserve Specific Plan Amendment. I'd like to declare the public open and then public hearing open, and then ask for a staff report from our city planner, Mr. Warren Morleone, who will also have a PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. As mentioned, Scanel Properties is requesting approval of a general plan amendment, specific plan amendment for the 74-acre property located at the southwest corner of Merrill Avenue and Remington Avenue. As you can see by this slide, the property is bordered by the City of Ontario, to the north, Watson Industrial Development to the east, and the Chino Airport to the south and the west. The proposed general plan amendment and specific plan amendment is to change the existing general plan land use designation from public to light industrial, and the preserved specific plan land use designation from public facilities to light industrial to allow development of the property with an industrial use. To give you a little background of the property, the area, at the time the preserve was adopted in 2003, the County of San Bernardino had plans to expand the Chino Airport to the east. And that's why the property has a land use designation of a public. Ultimately, the county decided not to expand the airport in 2014 and placed the site up for a public auction to allow the private development of the property. Scanel Properties has since acquired the property and submitted the subject land use applications. As mentioned, the subject property is designated as public. However, because of its site's proximity to the Chino Airport, the site is located in Aviation Safety Zone 1, 2, and 3, which limits the ability to develop the property due to assembly restrictions. One of the uses that is generally allowed in the area is industrial, and that's why there's industrial development around the property. And that's because industrial development typically has a limited number of employees as compared to other uses. Similar to the general plan amendment and the specific plan amendment that I came before you last few weeks, or a few weeks ago, over in this area, the Rodriguez property. This particular property is unique because of its location, in which it's isolated. It has industrial development, like I said, to the east, to the north in Ontario. It's future industrial development, and the airports, of course, to the west and the south of the property. And the limited capability to develop the property due to the safety zone restrictions, it makes sense to allow development of the property with an industrial use consistent with the surrounding industrial in the area. On June 17th, 2019, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the GPA and the SPA. At the same time, the Planning Commission approved a master site approval and site approval and special conditional use permit to allow the development of a parcel delivery facility at the location. The facility is consisting of a large sorting building, an office building, maintenance building, and then some guard shacks coming into the facility, in and out of the facility. pending approval by the council of the land use amendments. So the council would have to approve the land use amendments for that to be effective. And just for reference, this is the site plan the Planning Commission approved. This is the large sorting building in the middle here. On the northwest side of the site, this is the maintenance building. The entry office building is in the front here, this little one here, and the guard shacks are at this location. This is the elevation of the project. This is a large sorting building, all the elevations. And the slide here is for showing the office building here in the front, the smaller office building, the maintenance building, all four elevations, the guard shack, and then finally the wall. This is what the wall would look like. And the applicant has developed a property in Arcadia with this type of use, and this is a picture of it. It looks like a rendering, but it's actually a picture. A public notice was mailed out to all property owners within 300 feet. In addition, notice was published in the Chino Champion on July 6th. In response to the public notice, a letter was received by staff from Golden State Environmental Justice Alliance, which has been attached, and their letter basically is in support of the project. It's been attached to your staff report. An environmental impact report was prepared for the project in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. The EIR concluded that there would be significant and unavoidable impacts to 4 areas: agricultural and forestry resources, air quality, land use planning, and transportation and traffic. In terms of the agriculture and forestry resources, the project site contains 35.6 acres of prime farmland. While the site is not zoned for agricultural uses or agricultural, the project would convert the prime farmland to non-agricultural uses. Since there is no feasible mitigation for the loss of the prime farmland, there is an impact to the properties considered significant and unavoidable as determined by CEQA. In terms of air quality, the project site is located within the South Coast Air Basin. Due to the current air quality conditions for the region, any emissions from the construction and ongoing operations of the project that cannot be mitigated would result in an impact to the existing air quality violations that already occur. Although several mitigations have been included in the EIR to reduce the emissions, most of the emissions are caused by the truck and automobile traffic associated with the project that cannot be avoided due to the project size. Therefore, the impacts are considered significant and unavoidable. In terms of land use and planning, the proposed land use amendments would not result in a conflict with the city's general plan or the preserve specific plan. However, impacts associated with the proposed land use changes and subsequent development on the site would indirectly result in significant environmental impacts to planning documents that are not under city control, which include the Southern California Air Quality District, 2016 Air Quality Management Plan, the San Bernardino Congestion Management Plan, and the Riverside Congestion Management Plan. Although mitigation is provided to reduce both the project's air pollutant emissions and traffic congestions to a maximum level feasible, these impacts remain significant and unavoidable. And finally, in terms of transportation and traffic, the project would result in a number of intersections in and outside the city operating at an unacceptable level of service. And additionally, the project would impact existing traffic along portions of the 60 freeway east of Archibald Avenue. While the applicant is required to pay fair share payments for improvements to these intersections, the city does not have authority to require construction of these improvements because they're outside the city boundary. So with that, the project impacts are considered significant and unavoidable. So therefore, in order for the city council to certify the EIR, the findings of statement of override consideration is required to be adopted for environmental impacts that are considered significant and unavoidable impacts as a result of the project. I would like to point out that we do have the city's environmental consultant here, David Ornelas, and his team, as well as the applicant, Courtney Lehman, here, and his team to help answer any detailed questions you may have. So with all of that, in conclusion, staff recommends that the City Council adopt resolution number 2019-041, certifying the Chino Parcel Delivery Facility Environmental Impact Report, and adopt a statement of overriding considerations. Adopt resolution number 2019-042, approving PL 16-0638 General Plan Amendment, and approve the introduction of ordinance number 2019-008, adopting PL 16-0639, preserve specific plan amendment to be read by number and title only, and waive further reading of the ordinance. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Prior to asking if there are any public members that would like to speak, I'd like to ask if there are any questions from council members. Mr. Lucio?
In regards to the traffic, what type of, let's say, how many additional vehicles are we looking at on a weekly basis with this facility?
I have a few notes here. In terms of traffic, if I can pull those up. In my notes, it would generate, you said weekly?
Yes.
I have per day. My notes are per day, but we do have the applicant here that may be able to answer the weekly
okay.
numbers.
How many would it do per day?
At peak operation, it's 1,263 truck trips per day.
How many days are they open?
I'm not sure. We have to ask the applicant on the number of days.
And if the applicant can also tell us what time frame that they're going to be open, from what time to what time?
Yeah, my name is Courtney Lehman with Skinnell Properties. The traffic study that was done, what the mention of 1,200 was a peak operation, which is around the Christmas holiday. So we operate at half of that throughout the year. But we have to do the studies based on the worst case scenarios and the heaviest traffic. The question about hours of operation, I mean, hours of operation are 24/7, but that's, different shifts happen throughout the day. Sometimes there's not much going on. Sometimes there's incoming and going. It's around the clock, but as most warehouses are, warehouse and logistics are typically 24/7.
Okay, and so that's 7 days a week?
Sundays are pretty light. There's some Saturday work. There's a potential for Sundays to be used during the heavier peak seasons like Christmas.
Any other questions?
And what type of vehicles are we talking about going to this facility?
There's all types. The autos, obviously, from the employees, and then vans that deliver to homes. There can be trucks that go across country. But we work with Caltrans on an approved route to go up flight to Merrill, and then east and west to Archibald and Euclid.
Now, any of these when you say trucks, these are going to be the big 18-wheelers?
Yeah, I mean, the ones that are there at the Watson facilities already, similar to that.
So at peak times, during like Christmas rush, we're looking at 50 vehicles an hour. And at regular times, we're looking at 25 vehicles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the traffic study in front, but if that's the numbers we're talking about, yes, at the peak, yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Howie?
Did those numbers include just trucks, or is it employees driving to and from work also?
I have my traffic consultant here who might have that detail, Charlene here.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Charlene Selm with Urban Crossroads. Just to clarify, the truck trip that was noted, it's actually a combination of the 2, 3, and 4 axle trucks, which is why the number was so high. The majority of that number is the 2 axles, so like your delivery type trucks, not like the large trailer trucks. So the large trailer trucks, we're looking at the 4+ axle, there's 197 per day of the 1,000 that was noted earlier, 1,200. And that breaks down to roughly about 3 trucks in the morning and about 10 in the evening.
That doesn't add up.
During the peak hours. So the reason why it's not a direct correlation between the daily is because the daily represents activity that occurs over a 24-hour period. For these types of facilities, most of that activity, large trucking activity occurs outside of the peak hours. So when we're looking at the peak hours that we're evaluating, which occurs between 7 and 9 in the morning and 4 to 6 in the evening, those numbers are much lower because trucks don't tend to have activities during those time periods, during the peak commute periods for these types of facilities.
So you have more in the middle of the day and then
Or
and then
evening,
later evening.
yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So off-peak times.
Okay.
So, so you're saying 197 large trucks a day?
Yes. Mhm.
So if we were to do that on a 24-hour period, not just on your peak times, you're talking about 8 trucks an hour.
Mhm.
And on your peak
On
time, obviously.
average, yeah. Mhm.
And other question was, how many employees would be hired and be working at this facility? And obviously, it's probably 3 shifts, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, the different styles of, there's full-time, part-time, there's contract drivers, and so employees is a term, we just jobs, opportunities. When we opened, it would be close to 900. And in the full phase growth of inside the building, we'd be up to 1,500 jobs.
Okay.
So.
Good. That's my question.
And when we talk about these jobs, what are we looking at as far as salaries?
The full-time, part-time, the contract, we can follow up further, but there's, some are benefits, some are, it's a variety of all types of, I don't have an average wage exactly, but.
Are these going to be, are these skilled jobs where they're going to?
Yeah, there's
high salary?
office, there's office, there's high functioning, there's, again, there's some for college kids who want to get some extra hours part-time too. So it's a full range that allows for the community to have any style of employee that wants to come in and get a good opportunity to work for a good company.
Mr. Hargrove.
Okay, so thank you for some of those questions. They might have, they certainly helped me. The first thing I want to start off with is that this was a very comprehensive report. So thank you to the staff and whoever contributed to putting this all together. I think it was somewhere like 7,000 to 8,000 pages that I read. So if you didn't get a chance to read it, I read it for you. And then as I started writing down some notes, and staff certainly helped me with some of the things that needed clarification. And then I started writing what I was about to say and ask, and it just got too long. And I didn't realize tonight was going to go so long, so I did a little short version here. So most of this is just statement-wise, but certainly listen, and if you can clarify that or help me in any way, whether that's Warren or yourself, I would appreciate it. But I just wanted to note for people out there that what jumped out at me, that the EIR has 15 elements to it. And of those elements, 4 of those are significant and could not be mitigated. That's 25% of what's impacting the environment, or even higher than 25% are those things. I'll just flip through here because I did have a highlighter and I did it. The lead agency identified several issues of local concern, including but not limited to potential impacts to agricultural resources, air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, greenhouse emissions, noise, and traffic. Of course, obviously, I guess I'm going to point out concerns, but if you want to jump in there at the end, you can point out the positive things. There are some positive things. The facility would operate 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. All packages would be brought to the project via truck. The project does not contain an air freight component. That's correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So we're not bringing anything
Yeah.
from Chino Airport, landing planes and
Correct.
trucking them over there
Correct.
to the facility?
Yeah.
Great. Tractor trailers would access the project via the inbound guardhouse, the private driveway at Remington and Flight Avenue. Okay. According to to the traffic impact analysis prepared for the project by Urban Crossroads, the project is calculated to generate 3,905 daily vehicle trips, actual vehicles, including 2,642 daily passenger car trips, 1,263 daily truck trips during long-term peak operation. I'll emphasize that. I'm almost done. The CEQA guidelines require that the EIR disclose the significant environmental impacts, which they've done. The significant impacts that cannot be mitigated to the level below significant consist of the following. Agriculture, as you said, it's farmland, you're gonna build on it. What do you do about that? I get that. Air quality. After the application of project design features, mandatory regulatory requirements, and feasible mitigation measures, long-term operational related, I don't know how you said, Nox emissions would still exceed the acceptable regional threshold of daily emissions. Land use planning. The project's conflict with the existing City of Chino general plan land use and specific land use would indirectly result in significant environmental impacts, including impacts related to air pollutant emissions and traffic congestion. And lastly, transportation and traffic. The addition of project-related traffic would contribute to LOS. What's that term mean? That's an okay. So would contribute to level of service deficiencies at numerous study area intersections and CMP facilities during existing plus project opening year and horizon year, which I think that I interpret it means is that there are many routes you're going to take along that path to get trucks in and out and vehicles. Most of them exist outside of the City of Chino, Ontario, Caltrans, and that we can't do anything to mitigate that in City of Chino. You can pay a fee for them, but we don't know when they're going to improve those roads. We can't mandate they improve the 60 freeway, Euclid, the turn lanes. We can only deal with Merrill as it stands, and
only the south portion of Merrill.
The south portion of Merrill, and Kimball Avenue, basically, because as I understand, that's a truck route. So that's all I really wanted to make a statement, but I do, certainly before we intend to vote, I would like to say another comment, but I would like to hear the rest from them and some of the things that I've said, or any other council member that has any comments. Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez.
I have a question. When you look at the state, did it meet the standards, yes or no?
The state.
When it comes to quality for the environment and so forth?
I'll have the CEQA consultant.
Yes or no?
Good evening, members of the City Council. My name is David Ornelas. I am with T&B Planning. We prepared the environmental impact report for the project. In terms of what's in the environmental impact report, we address all of the topics that are required by CEQA. All of the conclusions that are in the environmental impact report are based on substantial evidence and technical reports prepared by experts. So in that regard, yes, we comply with all the statutory requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Paul?
No.
Well, I think, Paul, what you asked was, did they meet the standards as far as whether or not it was healthy, air quality healthy? Is that what you're asking?
Well, the standards as to what the state requires. You know, is it minimal? Is it sufficient?
Yes. The California Environmental Quality Act requires that the lead agency disclose information regarding the project's potential impacts to the decision makers and impose feasible mitigation when there is a significant impact. And in instances where that mitigation is not sufficient to reduce the impact to a level of less than significant, then the lead agency has to adopt a statement of overriding considerations indicating that the benefits of the projects outweigh its potential significant environmental impacts. So in terms of what's in this environmental impact report, the mitigation monitoring and reporting program that the city would be required to adopt if they did certify the project, the statement of overriding considerations that the city would be required to adopt if they did certify the EIR, yes, this has checked
We were
every
met.
box that's required by the law.
And if I may, just to clarify and simplify that, the CEQA requires that you have an informative document. So I think what your consultant is, what the environmental consultant is saying is it checks all the boxes as far as disclosing all of the potential impacts to the environment.
It discloses it, but one thing that it doesn't do is, in adopting overriding considerations, it has brought out all the negative impacts that cannot be mitigated. It's up to us, I suppose, to come up with rationale in saying that the benefits far outweigh the negative impacts.
That's correct.
But the benefits, there's going to be jobs created, 900 to 1,500 jobs. It will not bring direct revenue to the city of Chino because there's no sales. So there's no sales tax. Property tax is what it is. But so creating 900 to 1,500 jobs versus the negative impact on traffic, air, loss of ag land, that sort of thing. That's the decision that we have to make.
And do you mind if I just point out one
Sure.
thing that came to me is I love the idea of job creation. Certainly we can always use jobs. I'm not sure, and maybe this is another one of those things that you can answer in terms of the traffic, but we presented tonight and didn't get a chance to read it, but Chino's unemployment rate is at 2.7%. So really anyone that's out there looking for a job has a job. So where are these 1,500 people going to come from? I suspect the surrounding area, Fontana maybe, Ontario. To me, it raises another additional concern that that's additional cars that will be impacting in traffic coming to your facility. Unless that was already part of the traffic study, I'd like to know that.
Yeah, it was part of the traffic study.
Great.
And one item I had not mentioned, it's probably not in the report, the personal property investment that goes inside of this building is upwards of $100 million. So from a personal property tax collection as well, it's quite different than your typical speculative warehouse where they're just putting and racking. $100 million investment inside.
I wanted to say also that on the other side too, just an individual having a job would give some type of stability into being civically minded into whatever community they live in. The human aspect.
A little bit of background to this also was, that was a dairy, a very active dairy, and that particular piece of property originally was supposed to stay ag land and open space. The county, in its wisdom, decided that they wanted to sell that property, and so they went and put it on the market. And I don't remember what that piece of property sold for at the time, but it was a staggering amount. The amount per acreage was shocking, to say the least, of all the land that went up for sale at that time. So the county had in its mind that it was going to develop this property way before it ever came to us, and sold as such. Now, my question for you, Matt, is when we make a decision on converting agricultural land, there are fees that are paid to help mitigate the loss of ag, and then we have the opportunity to take that money and put it into something else that supports agriculture. Was that taken into consideration on this piece of property?
It was not.
And why is that? Because it was open space instead of zoned ag, even though it was used for ag?
That's correct.
So the fact that we're losing agricultural land, it's a fact, but there wasn't anything that we could do to retain that agricultural usage. Is that true?
Probably unless we bought the land and then turned it into agriculture ourselves. I think
Well,
the
yeah,
other
but
way,
look what they sold it for.
Well, yeah,
I mean, it
we
was.
were gonna buy it at not
It was
that
the
price.
most expensive purchase, I think, ever in that area. Okay, I'd like to invite members of the
Well, I was-
public.
Can I make more?
Oh,
more
sure, go
comments?
ahead.
Yeah. Warren, what's the total square footage of this particular property for the, as far as the buildings go? It's probably in here, I don't know.
The total is 476,285.
Okay, and we just approved 6 million square feet within a few blocks of this, where Watson Land is building their industrial park.
I don't recall the actual square footage, but quite a bit.
Isn't it pretty close to 4 million or whatever it is?
It's up there, yes.
5.2
Yes, sir.
million?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is only 475,000?
476,285.
And we're going to have thousands of jobs and thousands of trucks and thousands of cars right down the street.
Yeah.
So how does this compare to what we have a lot of warehouses in our city now. We have a tremendous amount of warehousing in our city. I think we have close to 25 million square feet of warehousing in our city at the present time. Is that correct?
I don't recall the total,
But I
but
think Majestic says they have 20 million in the city.
That's a
And
lot.
Watson is close to 5 or 6 million square feet, and that doesn't include Saris Regis and some other properties that we have. So, on this 475,000 square feet is actually pretty minimal compared to how much we actually have within the city as far as that goes. So it looks like the question is, do we want more? Is this really going to make that big of an impact?
I mean,
Well-
obviously, it's going to make an impact.
Well, I'm gonna say the difference is this is a parcel delivery facility as opposed to just a regular warehouse. So this thing is open 24 hours a day and their whole business is shipping in and out. My problem that I have is that it's making the air quality worse than it currently is now. We're about a mile away from Cal Aero Elementary School, where we have children there. I'm really kind of disappointed in the fact that although we addressed the minimum, which was 300 feet around the building, that we didn't address anybody that lives in the preserve, because I'm sure they would be very concerned with this amount of traffic going in, the air quality that it's going to cause, and us not noticing them and letting them know the impact it's going to have around their neighborhood. So my concern not only is the traffic, but the whole air quality that it's going to cause, especially next to a school.
Okay.
If I may suggest, Mayor, certainly since the public hearing is still open, to limit the statements to questions, and I know a lot of the statements made were also leading to questions, so I don't see an issue. I was just trying to keep us on track.
Question concerning the roadway, concerning Merrill. I know the north side of Merrill we have no control over because that's the city of Ontario. And it's obviously a one-lane road. The south side is the city of Chino's, which we have control over. What are the plans to improve our portion of Merrill so that it's more than just one lane?
I would
Or
ask
can
that.
you answer that?
Dave? I would set the engineering, or the applicant or engineering manager.
I can answer that. The half-street between Flight all the way over to Grove, which is twice the frontage along Merrill, we are going to do a half-street and 3 traffic lights. Grove, we're going to improve the network around us through, one of the mitigation items that we're doing is with the traffic, we're putting in a light at Grove, improving that intersection, Flight and Merrill, and then at Remington down at our entrance. And we'll be doing our half-streets, the 2 lanes, all the way from Flight to Grove, and all the way on the east side of our property along Flight. So significant amount of infrastructure and road widening and traffic signaling will be done as part of the project before we open.
Okay, so trucks traveling in and out of the facility will not block traffic. There will be a way that traffic can pass those trucks as they're turning.
Yeah, we have modeled all of the stacking, and we have, even in the worst case scenario, we have a private road on the south part of our project that comes out into Remington and Flight, at which we have 3 lanes to stack our own vehicles off of Flight. So getting them off into our own private drive. Yeah, the staff was very thorough on those portions of the modeling.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the council member before I ask for public testimony? None. Okay. So I will now open it up for the public to speak. Are there any questions from members of the public? Or, yes, sir.
I'm Larry Dalma. I got a question from Warren. Did I misunderstand you when they said they were going to pay Ontario for improving Archibald? I'm just curious, are they going to pay Chino for improving our roads that they're traveling on? Because I'm sure their trucks are not all going to go over to Archibald to go up to the 60 freeway.
Larry, we do have diffs that we charge.
They will, okay.
We do
I
have
was
development
curious.
impact
I heard them
fees.
say they were going to pay Ontario for Archibald Avenue.
Well, Archibald is in Ontario.
But will they pay Chino also is what I'm wondering.
There are diffs.
Okay.
Quite expensive diffs associated to development.
All right.
That and they're also making improvements.
And they're also physically making improvements.
I just wanted to,
Can you state your name again?
Richard Sherman.
Thank you, Richard.
I just wanted to mention, I'm always talking about watching the other people, the impact on the people in the preserve that are around this area. I feel that it's possible that there should be deferred till more studies are done and some sort of report or information sent out to the people in the preserve and homes and areas that are impacted by this possible development. Give them a chance to speak up.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, is there any presentation or additional information from anyone in the audience?
Good evening, Hasib Qureshi, Urban Crossroads. We prepared the technical air quality and health risk assessment for the project. So just to clarify and to answer some of the council's questions on air quality specifically, and then also to address the potential impacts to the school as well. All those impacts have been evaluated, and specifically as we talk about the school, we did include the school site in our health risk assessment, and all the impacts to the school from the project were less than significant, so well below the applicable threshold. So there were no impacts there. To put into context the significant and unavoidable air quality impacts, if I will, for just a moment, the regional Nox emissions, as we'll call them, those are mainly, again, from the tailpipe emissions from the passenger vehicles and trucks accessing the site. And the important thing to keep in mind about those, specifically as we evaluate them in the context of the EIR, is under CEQA, we're required to look at the kind of worst case or maximum amount of emissions that could theoretically occur from the site. So we take a look at, you know, the trucks and the travel of these vehicles as they occur throughout the entirety of the air basin. So we're very conservative and overstate the potential impacts. What the report does not do, and what the reality is, you know, these trucks that are going to be serving the local, some of these will be serving the local community. There already are trucks obviously delivering packages to the surrounding community, so that will not change the regional context, if you will. However, for purposes of our evaluation, we're assuming these are all brand new, were not occurring elsewhere in the air basin, which in all likelihood is not the reality. But because we can't guarantee that, we don't know the exact amount, we conservatively assume everything's brand new. And to further put into context the exceedance of that regional Nox number, it's set purposefully low on a regional side to establish what we call uniform CEQA review, so that all projects, as they come before you and come before other agencies, are ultimately required to mitigate their fair share of impacts, if you will, as they fall above that number. And to, you know, put it into context further, even if you had a shopping center put on this site, let's say of equal size, you would similarly exceed the regional Nox thresholds. Now, to answer the other question about, well, what's happening on the local side, because that's a very important question, we did evaluate that, and we look at what's called localized significance thresholds and localized impacts to the surrounding community. And so what we do is we translate what that means regionally on a more localized level to what's happening to residents in the community. And all those impacts related to NO2 were all less than significant, and for all the other pollutants on a local level were less than significant. So just to clarify that.
Well, the roads around the preserve, so we're talking about Kimball, we're talking about Merrill, they're already heavily impacted with traffic. So when you add thousands of vehicles, I don't understand how you can say that it's not going to have any significant impact on that. It doesn't make sense.
Well,
to
it's
me.
not having a significant air quality impact in the context of the thresholds that are established by the local air district. So we don't make the thresholds. We're just applying the thresholds to the project. And it's a bright line approach. If you're above the threshold, it's a significant impact. If you're below the threshold, you're not a significant impact.
So it's a significant impact on the facility, but it's not a significant impact a mile away from the school, where the school is located, is what you're telling me? Because
I'm sorry, I'm not-
the report that I saw said that the facility, it's going to be a significant impact on the air quality as a result of this
On a
facility.
regional level.
And so now, what you're saying is it's a less significant impact
On a
the
local
school.
level. The report also does say that, yes.
So what's the difference between the local and the regional?
Well,
What's-
like I
what's
said,
what's the thresholds?
regional level is a macro level, so you're talking the context of the air basin in its entirety. That's what we're talking about on the regional level. On a localized level, it's a site adjacent, so near field. So close to the site, or closer to the site. And there are different thresholds.
Confusing. It is confusing. And the other thing that's always amazed me is we look at projects in a vacuum. It's independent impact, but we never look at the cumulative impact of projects. You know, we compartmentalize them, but not as a whole. That's interesting. Any other input from the audience?
Yeah, just to further, hopefully this may clarify things. The regional, again, is the total emissions from the cars and trucks and all the activity that's occurring throughout the entirety of the air basin, whereas the localized is what's happening near the site.
Okay. And since we're in the SCA QMD and we're always in non-compliance, you're saying this just adds even more to the non-compliance?
Right, well, yes, to some degree, but to also put into context, it is important to note that, you know, over the last 25 years, we have seen significant improvement in air quality as we've actually had substantial growth. So it's not quite the, you know, doom and gloom scenario that, you know, it's sometimes made out to be. That's not to say that we don't have an air quality problem in California. We certainly do, and nobody's here to dispute that. But at the same time, you know, to put that into context, there has been significant improvement, and it's a function of the fact that, you know, the regulations are working, uniform CEQA review is working, which is why we've had tremendous growth while we've been able to significantly reduce our emissions overall.
Yeah, having grown up in this area, I remember, oh my gosh, I remember painfully well how being in elementary school and playing outside, it would hurt to breathe. And you could see and smell the air. While we can't now as much, the studies have also shown that the particulate matter that's tiny that we don't see is causing still massive damage to people's lungs.
I wanted to add, just to support the school district, well, school districts will receive reports on air quality on a daily basis.
Right.
To determine, so,
Right.
you know.
Mr. Gray.
My turn. My name's Ed Gray. I'm a resident of Chino. I live in the southeast portion of Chino. Mr. Lucio is not too far from me. I usually don't get up and make comments. In this case, I have to. We have enough warehouses. We have enough delivery people. The area in which I live, the trucks and the delivery vans that are out there now have become a tremendous problem. I don't know where they get their licenses for those people that do the deliveries, but it sure can't be here. But talking about the negative impacts that can't be remedied is a concern. I don't know if you can do, I don't know much about CEQA.
I know there's things that they have to look at and report them. This sounds incredibly negative, and it doesn't sound like something we need in our community. I think it's time that we rethink these things and look at the environment. They say you got to look at the regional, the overall picture. That's fine. I'm concerned about my picture here, my living conditions, and the impacts it has on us. If you drive on Euclid, Edison, Schaefer, any of those streets, go out and take a look at what the traffic is these days. And now we want to add this many more. I think it's time we come to maybe a realization that enough's enough, or find some way, some other way to mitigate these things. I don't think another one's, it might be a smaller facility, but that's a tremendous amount of traffic that's going to be on our streets. They don't live here. I doubt very much if these folks live here. They're going to put their business here, but they're going to go and live somewhere else. The people that's going to be working there, they're not Chino people. If we could find out where those folks come from that are working in the Walmart, all the warehouse down there, very, very small number of Chino residents. They're coming from, I think it was you that said Fontana, San Bernardino. They might be coming from LA. This is something I think you really need to seriously consider. If it means putting it off and try and find some other mitigating factors, that's what you should do. But I just sat there and I've come to the conclusion I had to get up and say something. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. Any other members of the audience would like to talk? Okay, then we will close the public hearing. Any further council comments, questions, direction?
Go
ahead.
My comment's simple. Last year, I ran for city council. I can tell you that unless you're an advocate in the city and you look at the agendas, you're not going to realize what's going to be proposed to be built here. But one of the things I did tell the community when I ran and I walked door to door talking to people is I wanted to be their voice. And I think in this situation, if the community knew what we were planning on building here, they would want me to be their voice. And this is something I definitely can't support.
Thank you. Any other council comments?
Sure.
Mr. Hargrove.
I did want to make just that. Like Councilman Lucio, I ran last year. I paid particular attention to the residents of Chino and what they're concerned with. That was one of my primary questions. I'll tell you they had 5 that stood out and I wrote them down. Public safety, obviously, that's their number 1 concern. Traffic congestion, just too much traffic in Chino. Air quality. I also grew up here my whole life and remember the stage 1 alerts and go inside, you can't play. I continued to grow up here and really quality of the air has improved. I will tell you in the last 5 years, significantly, I've been affected by the air quality, including even my children that notice it now that weren't around back in the 70s and the 60s when Kaiser still was blowing smoke in the air, and we just lived with it. And then the 4th one was we have too many industrial buildings in Chino. What is this becoming? And then lastly is why do they the council continue to change the general plan when we put together an adopted general plan, and every time a new project comes along and there's a vacant piece of property, the council changes it to accommodate the builder. And I get it, and I even try to explain to them then there are relationships with that, with employment, depends where. Moran mentioned it in his comments that last month alone, I mentioned the Rodriguez project that was over, that we had consideration, and I said, this is one of the few exceptions for me that I really had to struggle with because it was 3 acres out of a larger 30-acre site that I saw that it would be best served to change that, and I did. I supported that. This is a 75-acre parcel, significant property, significant acreage. I don't care if it's the last one or the one of many more to come every time we want to change the general plan and the specific plan. So all I'm saying to that is that I made a commitment to the residents of Chino, because I know I support and I represent all of them. But District 2 specifically, I made a commitment to them that If those are their concerns, they're my concerns. It's not about me up here, it's about what they want in the city of Chino. So I'm telling you, based on what I've seen in this EIR, from just this project alone, I evaluated it fairly. I looked at all the evidence, I read it all, so I can lay my head down on my pillow tonight and know that, hey, I read it all, and I gave everyone an opportunity to sway me one way or the other. 4 out of their 5 concerns are significant with this project, based on the EIR, the evidence before me, and all I'm saying is that, for me, I'm not going to be able to support this.
Okay, Mr. Rodriguez?
I've lived here my family's been here 5 generations. My health is fine. And we have qualifications that are measuring air quality, and I guess you call those facts. The biggest concern would be not the idea of air quality, but really the idea of providing an environment that's going to be proven to be qualified for people to live. And I've heard facts that all the tests have gone through.
Mr., did you have a comment?
Yeah.
Okay. Tom?
Yeah, that's me.
That's me.
Yeah, well, Warren, the city's recommending this project to go forward, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
In the Planning Commission, what was the vote on the Planning Commission who studied and looked at this whole project?
It was unanimous.
It was 7 or 5-0, right?
We have 7.
7, yeah, it was still 7, Planning Commission. Okay, and you know, I usually go with the Planning Commission, although sometimes I haven't gone with the Planning Commission. And I usually go with the city. I've found in the last 18 years, we've made some pretty good decisions. This is a great city to live in. Population of this, if you talk to people in the city of Chino, everybody I talk to loves living in the city. Do we have traffic? Yeah, we have traffic, but who doesn't have traffic in Southern California? And on an economic basis, have we done a good job on shopping? You know, the quality of life in Chino is pretty good for this city. One more warehouse, was it going to impact us that much? I don't, you know. Like I said, the Planning Commission's approved this. The city's said that this project could go forward, is suggesting it. So I would kind of go with my gut, because we all have our own opinions up here, and that's a great thing about it. But I think I don't see a negative to this particular project. That's just my comment.
I want to add that you know, our strongest component in the city is that there's more people wanting to come in than to leave if the air quality was that bad.
I have a question of staff. Warren, considering the fact that the county has already sold this site, and I'm assuming, even though we haven't approved the zone change and all that goes along with it, apparently the county has already, I don't know what word to use, committed to this use on this property?
No, I think it's contingent upon the approval of this as far as the county receiving the full funds of what was auctioned. Is that correct?
Okay, so.
So the county's not received the auction amount, which I believe was in excess of $60 million.
Yeah, it was a very, very large amount, the largest for that property. If the council were to reject this project, would we have any legal liability?
So I have heard today findings that I think could justify the denial. Now, this requires a general plan amendment.
Right.
So you have a lot more control in that kind of a process to deny a general plan amendment, because they're asking you to change basically your structure of your land uses. So I don't see a legal concern. You know, certainly people can challenge things, but if the council were to inclined to reject the project, as has been done, as I've recommended in the past, the suggestion would be to to direct staff to bring back resolutions incorporating all the concerns that were addressed, because today, what you have before you are recommendations of approval and resolutions geared that way. You don't have the resolutions incorporating the testimony and the statements made. So But from a legal liability, I think because it's a general plan amendment, you have a lot more discretion.
Okay. Well, I know our Measure M does not apply to this particular area, and it's not residential, so we're not going with zoning changes for residential. But I think listening to the testimony, reviewing the materials, the level of negative impacts that cannot be mitigated, even though this is a relatively small site, like you pointed out, Tom, there are some significant impacts. And what I've been concerned with over the years is how we look at individual projects, but not the cumulative effect. And while we do have major development going on in that area for industrial and all of that, this particular site really stands out as having negative impacts. I know the governor now has talked about implementing regulations mandating all vehicles change to clean fuels and all. I mean, there's a lot of pending regulations that are coming down in the next 5 to 10 years that we should have some pretty significant impacts on transportation as a whole. I too have very strong concerns about this project, but I will admit I'm torn. I'm torn. This is one additional parcel to other ones that we've already approved that are either in the process of being built or already built. But the cumulative impact, this one really stands out as negative. So I'm wondering, is there any opportunity if instead of rejecting this as a whole, is there any opportunity to send it back to see if any of these impacts can be mitigated or changes? Or does an action need to be taken in order for that then to be considered?
I don't know if there are modifications and maybe reopening the public hearing to ask the applicant if there's a way to modify the project to address some of the concerns raised in the EIR. That's always an option to the council, but if the suggestion is to significantly modify this, it should technically go back to the planning commission. So it would be a, you could also do a resolution of denial without prejudice of to the applicant to refile or modify the project. But again, you could always reopen the public hearing and ask the applicant if there's some feasible modification.
Would you like the public hearing reopened? Yes. Okay, I'd like to reopen the public hearing then.
Yeah, I think the impacts, and we mentioned the 4 and the agricultural and some of the things are no matter what development goes here, you're going to have probably 2 or 3 of those. I would ask for at least time to meet up or go through some of the information a little bit more in practicality versus other things, to have Watson have 250 acres rezoned and developed, and for this particular project, it's a gem for the investment and the employment and the opportunity to have this particular client. I'd prefer to at least talk more about it, whether we come back and in the interim have some workshop time or further spend some time with the staff to I think it's sounding more negative. That almost every EIR we've ever done has significant unavoidables. And so from an air quality standpoint, being where it is, we've got, we're putting some electric vehicles on the facility to try to mitigate. There's some things in this project that probably haven't been highlighted, to see the effort that we're making for it to be the best for the community. And so if more time would be needed, whether it's individually or come back with a presentation, I was told not to probably worry about a presentation. Probably should have done that to highlight. So it's, I think, getting a little bit of a potential unfair shake at a project of this significance that we've been working on for years, that the county is has geared toward it being industrial. I mean, if not industrial, what are we doing with the site? It's probably not residential. It's, the reason the general plan amendment is because it was airport and open space. And so there's a couple of these things that we're talking about that I'm not sure what this other, it's not a dairy farm anymore, he's gone.
Right.
And the county's plan is to sell it for what use? It's not gonna be retail. And so I think either, I can continue, we can come back again next session. Or looking at it, I think there's some really good points of it that we haven't talked about. And a lot of stuff we're talking about is a peak season of 3 to 4 weeks of traffic.
Okay.
Or half of that normally.
Okay.
And we're off hours, so.
Okay, thank you very much for your input. I think what I would like to request is can this be continued for further information and analysis?
Absolutely. You could, and my suggestion would be to actually continue it with the public hearing continued to be open, so you reopen the public hearing and continue it with that hearing open to a date certain.
Okay.
That way you don't have to renotice everything, but if the council prefers, you could certainly renotice the item regardless. If you have a date certain to continue it, I don't know if there's a suggested date.
Well, let me ask first. Do any council members object to continuing this? Okay, because I would also like the information on cumulative effects in that area, because we have approved significant warehouse and industrial usage in that whole area right there. So what is the cumulative effect of what we've already approved, and how will this add to it? And what are the mitigating circumstances that this particular applicant has gone through to try to mitigate some of the impacts? I want a relation. I want to see the relationship of this project to everything else that we've approved in that area.
I will say CEQA requires that cumulative impacts be disclosed in an EIR, and you have that, but obviously that needs to be daylighted more.
But it's buried in like hundreds of pages.
Right, so that needs to be
So
daylighted.
Right.
Well, if I
Yes,
could,
Mark.
just another comment, and I don't know where we're gonna end up at the end of this. So I just wanted to add that one of the other concerning factors, and I mentioned in case it gets continued, maybe it's something else you might want to identify, or at least I'll identify and you can look at, is my concern is Kimball Avenue also. I know it's a truck route in some configuration or another. It runs alongside of a residential. I don't know how that can be changed or modified, or the facility can enforce that traffic go down Merrill as opposed to Kimball. That's just one. And then two is that this facility not become in the future some kind of air freight, where the design or intent or purpose is that airplanes are going to land here and unload, and it's going to be ground because we put them on a truck and drove them around the corner and put it there. That's another concern for me that comes from residents that have told me. So I don't know where we're going to end up with this, whether we postpone or delay and talk about it some more, or someone motions to approve it. That's fine too. I would hope that that maybe be a consideration, that some conditions be added, because they weren't conditions that were added at the Planning Commission. I certainly wish they would have been considered and discussed, and then, or if we decide no. So I'm open to, quite honestly, whoever wants to make that motion for whatever. I'm not here standing or sitting today, I guess I should say, saying absolutely not, you're out the door and goodbye to you.
Okay, what I would like to suggest is that we continue this item, that staff prepare the information to clarify issues that council has brought up, because I do think it's very important in light of, especially looking at the map, everything that we have already approved. This is one portion of, if I just eyeball it, it's like 20%, maybe not even that, 15% of that whole area that we have allowed to move forward in industrial. And so I just would like the overall picture of this, and I would like it brought back. I would like to make sure that we're doing what is right for our community and what is fair for the applicant as well.
So in chatting with your city manager, as far as an available date, it seems as though perhaps it'd be the first meeting of September or maybe the second meeting. And so I would suggest maybe just getting a nod from the applicant as to whether either date would work.
Well, in light of, we're going dark part of August.
Right.
I would imagine there's going to be significant research that's going to be needed to bring forward what we're asking for. So I would think probably the second meeting in September, if that will work for you.
We can prepare, well, I can't speak for the staff, but we'd prefer to probably do the first if that's possible.
Okay.
We'll work in the month of August and here. I think the information is there. I think it's putting it together and presenting and bringing to light some of the things that we've been working with staff for a long time. Kimball's a great example. Our truck route's going north. We modeled it. We Caltranned it. We can talk more about that. But to the point, I think the information is available for us to put it together. We'll work with staff. I prefer the 1st of September if possible.
Can our staff be prepared by the first meeting in September?
Yeah.
Okay.
September
just to
3rd.
clarify, that's September 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I would request council support to continue this item to September 3rd.
The only thing that I would ask is if they have the items early enough, I would like them before Friday, before the meeting, because it's a lot of documents to go through
Yeah.
in such a short period of time.
It is.
So the sooner that we get the items to review, the better.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I would propose the second meeting in September.
Well, it
17th.
seems that there's an agreement to the first.
Okay.
Okay. Everyone seems to be available to do
And,
that.
yeah. And then if for some reason we're not ready, we'll
Can be
push to the next.
continued. Yeah. Okay. All right. So do we need a motion to that or just direction
Yes,
to
and the
staff?
motion should clarify that the public hearing will remain open. If at the time of the first meeting of September, the applicant's not ready, the council could simply continue the item again at that meeting to keep the public hearing open.
Okay, then I would make the motion to continue the public hearing to September 3rd. Oh, I have to push. I'm not used to pushing the buttons. No. Okay, I made the motion. There was a second from Councilman Rodriguez, and the item, it will be continued to September 3rd with support from the entire council. Okay. Under new business, item number 23, purchase orders. Police and Public Works vehicles and equipment. This is to appropriate $67,000 of the unappropriated reserves of the Equipment Management Fund and approval of purchase orders for, 6 model year 2020 Ford Interceptor utility vehicles for $271,000 plus.
I'm sorry.
Do I have to
Madam
add
Mayor.
all, do I have to read all of this?
No, there's a public hearing right before this item, item number 22, landscape and street
Oh, did I
lighting
skip
maintenance.
it? Oh, I apologize. Okay, back up. Trying to get there. Item number 22, still a public hearing, landscape and street lighting maintenance district assessment for fiscal years 2019-20. Conduct a public hearing for the maintenance district's assessment. I will open the public hearing and ask for a staff report from our Public Works Service Manager, Dave McAbee.
Thank you.
Sorry about skipping you, Dave.
No problem, ma'am. Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. The city has formed 6 landscape and street light maintenance assessment districts under authority of the Landscaping and Lighting Act of 1972 of the California Streets and Highways Code. The districts are as follows: 75-1, 75-2, 76-1, 76-2, 83-2, and 2002-1. Each year, the City Council reviews these districts and holds a public hearing to set the assessment rates. Of the 6 districts, only District 2002-1 has a consumer price index escalator that allows the city to adjust the assessment rates. For fiscal year 2019-20, the CPI is 3.047%, which results in a slight revenue increase for District 2002-1. As listed in Exhibit 1 of the report, there are certain zones in the other 5 districts that have an increase of 5% or less because these zones have not been assessed their maximum allowable rates since they were annexed. This will help to reduce the city's subsidy amount. At the June 4th, 2019 council meeting, the City Council adopted 3 resolutions which consisted of the following: direct staff to file the annual report, approve the engineer's report, declare intention to order improvements for the 6 assessment districts, and schedule a public hearing. A public hearing is required as part of the process to levy the annual assessments and provide the opportunity for all interested persons to comment on this matter. Therefore, staff recommends conducting the public hearing, adopting resolution number 2019-045, confirming the assessments, and directing the city clerk to file a certified copy of the diagram and assessments with the county auditor controller. That concludes my report. Be happy to answer any questions you may have, and we also have staff from Web Finance here should you have questions for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Fred, did I open the public hearing?
Yes, you did.
Oh, thank God. Had a brain fade. Okay, do any members of the council have questions of staff? No. Then are there members of the public that would like to address the council on item number 22? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, and I will call for a motion and a second. A motion from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, second from Councilman Lucio. And the item, whoops, not yet. Okay, Mr.
No, it
Valente,
actually,
would you?
you were correct. It says have me read the ordinance, but there is no ordinance.
There
so
is no ordinance.
You were correct.
Aha, caught you. Okay, the item passes unanimously. See, I'm not the only one that makes mistakes. Item number 23, now we're doing the purchase orders. This is a great big long list of all kinds of vehicles and the amounts. Do I need to read this whole list, Fred?
No, you can just announce the title of the item.
Okay, purchase orders for police and public works vehicles and equipment. Our staff report again will be by our Public Works Services Manager, Dave McAbee. You get to read the list.
Thank you, Mayor. The Fleet Division of the Public Works Department is responsible for the maintenance, repair, and replacement of all city vehicles and equipment. As part of this fiscal year's replacement list, 6 police vehicles, 3 public works vehicles, and 1 public works backhoe tractor are scheduled for replacement. Also approved in the fiscal year 1920 budget, 3 additional police patrol vehicles will be purchased and added to the fleet. Additionally, 1 2019 police patrol vehicle will be replaced due to accident damage that occurred on July 1st, 2019. This will require an appropriation of $67,000 from the unappropriated reserves of the Equipment Management Fund with a corresponding year-end budget transfer from the general fund to cover replacement and outfitting costs for this vehicle. Specifications were prepared for these vehicles and equipment and consist of the following: 6 2020 Ford Police Interceptor Utility Explorer patrol vehicles, 4 2020 Chevrolet Tahoe Police Package patrol vehicles, 3 2019 Ford 3/4-ton regular cab trucks with aero boards, and 1 2019 Case backhoe tractor. On June 3rd, 2019, bids were properly solicited through Planet Bids. Additionally, staff contacted National Auto Fleet Group of Watsonville, California, under contract number 120716, and requested pricing utilizing the nationwide competitive bid process through the National Joint Powers Alliance. On June 13th, the bids were received and reviewed by staff to determine the lowest responsible and responsive bidders. Therefore, staff recommends that the City Council approve the following 4 purchase orders. National Auto Fleet Group, Watsonville, California, in the amount of $271,233.42. Courtesy Chevrolet, Center of San Diego, California, in the amount of $146,000 $689.60. Warren Anderson Ford of Riverside, California, in the amount of $101,064.36. And Sun's-Ray Machinery of Fontana, California, in the amount of $106,674.12. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Any questions of staff or council comments? Okay, this isn't a public hearing, but I'll ask if there are any members of the public that would like to address the council. Okay, seeing none, then I would entertain a motion, please. Motion from Council, Mayor Pro Tem Howie, second from Councilman Hargrove. The item passes unanimously. Item number 24, introduction of ordinance number 2019-010, adding chapter 12.22 to Title 12 of the Chino Municipal Code. This is regulating certain conduct in public buildings. Our staff report this evening will be provided by Lieutenant Bill Covington, and what was that?
I hope it was
Fireworks?
fireworks.
Bill?
Mayor, members of council.
Jeez.
For your consideration today is the addition of Chapter 12.22 of the Chino Municipal Code regulating prohibited conduct in and on the premises of Chino public buildings. But before I begin, the ordinance submitted with the agenda packet earlier today mistakenly was missing some language. It's under my understanding that that language was added, and you all were provided a copy of the amended ordinance. Basically, it contained additional language restricting people from accessing non-public and restricted areas of city buildings was the language that was added to the ordinance. So with that, the city provides space for community activities at city-owned and city-operated public buildings for various recreational and social activities by providing a wide variety of programs and services in a safe, positive, and secure environment. In order to assist community services staff and to assure guests that use our facilities have a safe and pleasant experience, the police department, community services, code enforcement, city prosecutor, and the city attorney collaborated to develop this city ordinance to prevent unruly behavior within city buildings. In recent years, several public buildings, including the Senior Center and Chino Branch Library, have experienced an increase in violations of city code of conduct, which has resulted in complaints from staff and from customers. The unruly behavior of some individuals has threatened the public health, safety, and welfare of the users of these facilities and the surrounding properties. This would include the use of offensive words, fighting, willful and malicious behaviors that interrupt city programs, subjects hiding within the facility after closing hours, the use of the restroom to shower, and alcohol consumption while on premises. Staff believes it is now necessary to add this ordinance to address the concerns arising from the increase of conduct complaints, police instances, and unruly behavior. The proposed ordinance will assist staff and police officers with stopping disturbances in and on the premises of Chino's public buildings while protecting constitutional rights. This proposed ordinance would apply only to public buildings owned, leased, or operated by the City of Chino within Chino's boundaries. Its goal is to ensure city's public buildings are safe and secure, and they're a place for members of the public to congregate safely. This concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Would any members of the public like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none. Council comments? Questions? Okay, then I would call for a motion and a second, please. There's a motion from Councilman Rodriguez, second from Councilman Lucio. Now, Mr. Galante, would you read the ordinance?
Yes, thank you. Before the council is ordinance number 2019-010, entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino, County of San Bernardino, California, adding Chapter 12.22 of the Chino Municipal Code, regulating prohibited conduct in public buildings, reading by title only and waiving further reading. Thank you.
Okay, and this item did pass with full support of the council. Item number 25, introduction of ordinance number 2019-011, amending Chapter 8.28 of the Chino Municipal Code concerning graffiti abatement and enforcement. Our staff report will be provided once again by Lieutenant Covington.
Mayor and members of council, for your consideration today again is the amending of Chapter 8.28 of the Chino Municipal Code concerning graffiti abatement and enforcement. Most, if not all cities suffer from graffiti or other forms of vandalism, and Chino is no exception. Graffiti creates blight, is used to communicate amongst gangs, it marks gang territories, and has other negative effects on the community. It's also illegal under the current municipal code and state law. Due to changes in the juvenile justice system as it relates to the prosecution of juveniles for graffiti-related offenses, the police department, code enforcement, city prosecutor, and city attorney's office collaborated to update this chapter, which has not been updated in over 17 years. The current language has presented the city with some unique challenges when conducting graffiti and vandalism investigations and abating graffiti. As part of the city's ongoing effort to hold graffiti offenders responsible, and due to changes in the justice system as it relates to the prosecution of juveniles for graffiti-related offenses, it has become necessary to update the ordinance language to fall in line with state law. This will ensure the city's laws are aligned with state law and that the community has the necessary tools to abate and deter graffiti. The juvenile criminal justice system is absolutely failing the city of Chino when it comes to enforcement of graffiti and getting restitution. While sometimes the courts will order the offender to pay restitution for cleanup costs, this is not done consistently and restitution rarely occurs. This means the community suffers twice. The community is vandalized, and then they must absorb the cost of cleaning up the vandalism as well. As permitted by state law, these amendments will make parents or guardians of minors who commit vandalism liable for certain penalties and costs, including the cost of cleanup. These amendments more clearly define the terms related to these regulations and is based on state statutes authorizing these amendments. It will ensure parental liability for violations of the code by minor offenders. It will provide alternative methods of enforcement. It will provide a means to recover the cost of graffiti removal through civil or administrative proceedings, and it will provide due process appeal rights for administrative citations issued for violations of this code. The proposed amendments will also clarify the process for removing graffiti, increase the penalties for multiple violations, and add a reward to better facilitate enforcement. The goal is to attain restitution for cleanup costs and deter future violations, and to do so primarily through administrative and civil means. This concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
I do.
Yes, Mr. Howie.
Yeah, I just want to say that every city, struggles with maintaining and controlling graffiti. And I want to thank our police department. Also want to thank our Public Works Department for the great job they do in removing and controlling the graffiti in our city. So thank you guys for that.
Very good comments. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I would call for a motion and a second. Motion from Councilman Lucio, second from Councilman Rodriguez. And Mr. Galante.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before the council is ordinance number 2019-011, entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino, California, amending Chino Municipal Code Chapter 8.28 regarding regulation of aerosol containers, markers, and etching tools. Reading by title only and waiving further reading. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, this item did pass with all support. I do have one question, Bill. Is there going to be any method that the PD is going to use to get the word out to the community that we are now going to hold parents and guardians responsible for the damage that the graffiti users create?
I think it's a great idea, Mayor, and I'm sure through our social media aspect, it would be a great push and campaign for us to go ahead and educate the public on our kind of new approach that we're going to have going forward when it comes to our abatement processes.
I think we should do that. We should use our website, social media, and maybe communication through the NAC and, our other facilities that are used by youth and the school district. Okay, thank you, Bill. Okay, item number 26, ST061 Pine Avenue Extension Project. This is to accept additional grant funds from SAF ETEA Safety Project ST061 Pine Avenue. Appropriate funds from the Transportation Fund. Schedule a year-end transfer amount to Fund 320. Increase the budget and approve the amendment to professional services. Staff report this evening will be from our CIP manager, Maria Frazier.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members and audience.
On April 23rd, 2009, federal funds in the amount of $6.8 million were allocated for the Pine Avenue Extension project and on January 17, 2011, $2.5 million were obligated, leaving an unobligated federal fund balance of about $4.2 million. On March 15, 2011, following consultation selection process, the City of Chino awarded a preliminary design contract to Hewitt Solars in the amount of $2.3 million. And in April 2011, the preliminary design and environmental documentation for the project was initiated. Due to the design complexity of this project, it has experienced a lot of delays and has resulted in various extensions of Hewitt Solars agreement. Comments from the Army Corps of Engineers have resulted in the preparation of additional studies and changes to the proposed components of the project, which were not originally included in the consultant's scope of work. Staff received and reviewed a proposal from Hewitt Solars in the amount of $1.5 million to replenish the budget for the out-of-scope tasks and to be completed, and to complete the final design of the plans to 100% and specifications. In the last 6 months, staff has made significant progress in moving this project forward. Staff requested and received authorization to obligate an additional $1.2 million from our $4.2 million that we had unobligated from the federal funds to complete the design of the project, and we received this authorization. We also requested and was recently granted a 3-year extension to use the funds, and have received notification from the Army Corps of Engineers indicating that all the required technical studies had been accepted. And yesterday, as a matter of fact, the Army Corps of Engineers indicated to us verbally and reassured us that we could proceed with the next step of the design of the project, and has committed to providing us with a formal letter in August. Additionally, staff prepared and submitted a bill grant application, and we have requested $13.4 million towards the completion of this section that goes from 71 to El Prado Road, in which we called in the application Phase 1. This application was submitted yesterday, so we probably won't hear any results, I imagine, until about December of this year. The Pine Avenue Extension construction was originally estimated to be constructed in 2025, but staff, with the consultant's assistance, is and will be diligently working towards completing the preliminary and final design and environmental phase by next year, and construction shortly thereafter. Staff is recommending that the council approves the items highlighted in the recommendation section of the staff report. This concludes my report, and I will be happy to answer any questions. I also would like to highlight that our consultant, Hewitt Solars, is in the audience if you have any questions from him as well.
Thank you, Maria. Do any members of the audience wish to comment on this item? I'm sure council members do. Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Mayor. Boy, what a roller coaster for the last 10 years. This money that we got from Safety Lou for the Pine Avenue extension, and I think it's a good idea that we've broken it up into 2 phases, because we've been trying to go after the whole project for all these years, and breaking it up is kind of lower the cost a little bit, and it's allowing us engineering-wise to move forward in a manner that we can finally, I mean, I know we're still going to have, after this approval, have $3 million left out of that 6.9, but we've almost lost the money because of the extensions and the length of time that this has taken us to get through. And of course, one of the main things was we had problems with the Army Corps. We had problems with, well, not so much with Caltrans, because we couldn't get to Caltrans because we had to get to Army Corps first. But that's some really good news. I mean, this has been a long process, and we're almost at 65%, which is quite an achievement. So hats off to you guys, especially in the last 6 months of kind of turning this around and getting us moving closer and closer to this. And if we could start construction in 2022 or 2023 and get this done, Pine Avenue would finally have an off-ramp. And I think it's so important to the whole community, from a public safety standpoint and a commuter standpoint. This is a big project, and thank you for moving this forward, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that we can get the rest of the money for this project, and I'm really looking forward to it.
It has been a very, very long time. All the environmental issues, and you start to do one step and then you can't do the next because the birds are nesting or the flies are breeding or it's rainy season or it's been a challenge. So congratulations to staff to getting us this far.
We might not be using cars by the time this gets done.
Mark says we might not be using cars by the time this is done. Well, you know, it's a big skateboard ramp or something, right? Any other council comments? Okay, then I would entertain.
Mayor, I just want to note one correction in here.
Yes.
Under the recommendation, item number 2, it notes $2 billion. That's actually $2 million. Certainly $2 billion would cover the cost.
2 billion, hey.
We'll do it.
Wouldn't that
but,
be nice?
It's an appropriation of $2 million.
Okay.
Thanks, Ma'am.
All right, I would entertain a motion then with that correction. Motion from Councilman Rodriguez, second from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, and it passes unanimously. Okay, next item on the agenda is mayor and council reports. I will try to go through mine very quickly. Thursday, July 4th, I attended the 29th annual flag raising ceremony at the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Church. That's always a fun event to attend. Friday the 5th were the senior birthday celebration at the Chino Senior Center with Councilman Rodriguez. And then I attended the Watermaster's Storage Management Plan, the first workshop. Wednesday the 10th was Omnitrans Board of Directors, San Bernardino County Transportation Authority Board of Directors, and then a meeting with the people involved in the Chestnut Checkers August 26th Leadership Seminar. Thursday, the 11th, Watermaster Appropriative Pool Meeting. Then I attended Edie Strassi Garcia's retirement. God, I couldn't get that out right. And then went immediately to Jack Morgan's baby shower. So, boy, from one extreme to the other. Friday the 12th, I attended and participated in the 4-H FFA Chino Junior Fair Open Pit Barbecue and Livestock Auction. I sure wish more people would attend that. That is so much fun. Those kids are so good. They're such good kids. Saturday the 13th, I attended the Hidden Creek Ranch Family Day event for veterans families. We have a gem in our community that very, very few people know about. It's the Hidden Creek Ranch, which is off of Hellman, way down in the south area. And Mark Drum runs that particular ranch, and he has a fantastic program for veterans with PTSD that he works with them, obviously with horses, and teaches them how to rope and how to ride. And he personally works with 10 veterans who are severely impacted by PTSD, hospitalizations, suicide attempts, and he's had such an impact. That program has had such an impact on their lives. It almost brings you to tears. He's also quite accidentally started getting involved in foster kids, older teenage foster kids, and children with autism. And they've had some amazing breakthroughs. One older teen was there, a boy, was brought down by the family group home. I guess they were just at wit's ends. This child would not communicate. He would not talk. No one could break through to him, and they put him on a horse, walking him around, and they explained to him that in order to get the horse to stop, you're going to have to tell him, whoa. And the boy just watched them, and they're walking around, and then I don't know exactly how the circumstances happened, but the child spoke and said, whoa. They got him home that night, and for the first time, this boy said to the group home leader, I love those horses. So now they're helping him one-on-one. And it's enabling him to communicate. But the breakthrough that they've had with people is just amazing. If you ever get a chance, go down and visit the program. It's amazing. So anyway, once a month, they have what they call a family day event on a Saturday half-day, where the families of the veterans can come down and ride horses, and they have a barbecue with hamburgers and hot dogs, and it's an amazing, amazing asset that we have in our community. Okay, then on Monday the 15th, I attended a luncheon for Rachel Ong, and then a learning opportunity to question her regarding her expertise in organizational management, and then she did a presentation to our upper management staff. What an amazing lady. And gosh, just really nice. It was really, really nice. Matt, I thank you for getting people together and allow her to share her expertise in organizational management. She's just a great guy, great gal. Then I'd also like to ask Matt if, because of our concerns with the airport, and obviously our residents know the effort that's going on behind the scenes, perhaps at our council meetings, you can give an oral report on what we're doing, how we're working on that issue, so that they're kind of kept in the loop of what the efforts are happening. Okay, that's all I have. Mayor Pro Tem Howie.
Thank you, Mayor. And also, Matt, I don't know if there's a way regarding the transportation of that Route 499 of how many, I think they said they had probably close to 150 riders on that. It'd be interesting to know how many of those were Chino residents. I mean, we had 3 speakers, and I think they're all from Chino Hills today. Did we have, I don't know if we had
There
it.
were four
speakers on it. And
I'm gonna, these.
I'd like to
these
know
reports.
how many Chino residents actually use that service. Because I know the Park and Ride's been there for many years, and we all obviously have some issues with the Park and Ride because there's so many cars out there. And if that, I'm sure the Park and Ride would still be there. I don't know if they can carpool, you get 4 people together and or 5 people together, and you can, drive one day or something. I don't know. Whatever, but I'd like to see if we can find out if there's any way we can find out if there's some residents. Anyway, I was on vacation the last couple of weeks, so I didn't get out to do a lot of stuff for the city, but I did leave, and it was nice and cool. When I came back, it was blazing hot, so I don't know what happened, but I guess summer finally kicked in. Don't forget to go to the summer concerts, because we still have like 5 of those left on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock here. They're really great. They're a lot of fun. Don't forget to stop by the Rancho del Chino booth and buy some corn while you're there. And then I have been told by the city that Bickmore Avenue is expected to be open next Monday, the 22nd of July 22nd, next Monday. So we're looking
Can we
forward.
hold you responsible?
You cannot hold me responsible, but that's what the developer told the city. So the city told me, I'm just passing the information on. Yeah, anyway, I will be driving out there Monday to check it out, I can tell you. Right. So hopefully, and maybe, you never know, it might open a little earlier. You never can tell, so we'll see.
Hold your breath.
The glass is half full, not half empty, right? And then last but not least, I want to thank Karen Comstock. Karen, it's been a pleasure to work with you for all these years. And I remember years ago, we were talking about who the leaders are in the police department. Who's really, really good and really, really good. And somebody kind of tapped me on the shoulder and said, Karen Comstock is going to be chief someday. This was many, many years ago. And I was like, really? Wow. Oh, okay. So I just kind of filed that thing away. And then as her career, she made lieutenant, and she made captain. And then when it got to Matt, getting close to a point, it was just a slam dunk. There was not even a discussion of anybody else. Karen was definitely our chief. And I want to thank you for the work that you've done. Everything's been said tonight. I can't repeat all that's been said tonight, but thank you so much, and for your friendship and for the work you've done. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Councilman Lucio. You're right, Hargrove first. H comes before L. I already had checked you off, so go ahead.
So I'll also try to be brief, because I know it's past some of the council members' bedtime, for sure.
Don't look at me. I don't.
No,
think
I
I'm
was looking at Tom.
Oh, you.
And Mark. Mark, yeah, and myself included. I did attend Kiwanis concerts, great first event, great music, great food, great attendance. Enough said about that. Just continue to go to them. They're great. Yesterday, Zeb actually mentioned the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. He said all that needed to be said. I know we're over 400 members. He's doing a terrific job as they now voted on yesterday the president of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. So that's the title. I just want to assure the public that was here related to airport noise, and thank you, Mayor, for mentioning that again. The council hears you. The city manager hears you. The deputy city manager is working on it. We're all aware of what's going on in terms of the noise. The only thing I would ask, Matt, is maybe there is a way. It seemed like Ms. Nunez was confused on how do you report. You know, like she had to go outside and get binoculars and get the tail number and all that. There is a process, a way. So if there's some way that we can put on our webpage or some way to connect that link, that would be great. And then, you know, advise them that here's how you go find that. So it's been worked on continuously. But I've told people out there, it's not just simply saying, hey, don't come over here, you know. It's a little more complicated than that. And then I did attend the Chino Planning Commission last night. Most notable was the commission approved another project for development on Euclid and Bickmore, which will require a council approval for a Williamson Act cancellation, a general plan, and a preserve plan amendment. So it's not as if, like tonight, one and done. It's continuing. So we just have to be out there and paying attention and making sure we're just getting the best that we can get. And then lastly, most importantly, congratulations. It can't be said enough. Chief, one day you won't be here in the front row and we won't get to say congratulations, but congratulations again to you. It's well-deserved, and welcome to that retirement club. That concludes my comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Now, Councilman Lucio.
I'll keep mine short. On July 5th, I attended the movies on the lawn with my family, saw the movie Smallfoot. On July 10th, I attended the meeting for the Relay for Life to get our team together. On 7/11, I attended concerts on the lawn. I saw Mark Hargrove there, and then the city manager. He was selling fruit cups, not corn. And on July 13th, I attended the Demolition Derby. That's always a Chino must. It's always a great time. But I also wanted to point out that on August 3rd, 2019 is going to be the Relay for Life at Ayala Park. So if you guys can come out and attend it, it'd really be appreciated. We came up with our first year we're going to compete in it, or at least participate in it. It's going to be Team Lucio. We're going to be dedicating it to my wife's father, who passed away from throat cancer, Gilbert Fanchin. So if you guys can go out there and support, we'll be selling some items out there to raise some money for cancer awareness. I also want to reiterate, I'd like staff to look into the bus route, see exactly what they're talking about as far as subsidizing it. I do have a cousin that lives in Chino that does take that bus route into LA, but I'm not exactly sure what they're talking about is what portion we would be subsidizing, so I'd be interested in hearing what the figures look like. And the same thing with the airport. I live on the southeast portion of Chino, so I hear the airplanes when they fly by. When I'm outside, I don't really hear them when I'm inside, but I do notice them quite a bit more now than I used to. And then last but not least, Karen, congratulations. I'm envious that you're retiring. I got 7 more years. I look forward to it, but you definitely earned it, and it was a pleasure working with you, and I look forward to working with Wes, but truly enjoy your retirement. And that's all I have.
Okay, Councilmember Rodriguez.
Okay, mine's very brief. July 5th, I attended with our Mayor Eunice the senior citizen birthdays. And today we attended the League of California Cities legislative briefing webinar, which was very interesting. And what I understand is that the bills will go to the governor on September 13th, and with his signature being required on October 13th. So there's a lot of bills out there.
And some of them have a big
covering a lot of different issues.
Yeah.
And Karen, I'd like to thank you for all the dedication that you've given to the city and to the people, and for the support you've given to me when I've gone on vacation to watch my house. Well, not personally, but anyway, thank you very much for all your service. And lastly, I'd like to, in tradition with the city, seek approval for community support and fund contributions to the Chino Valley DES Portuguese Club, the Chino Neighborhood House, and the House of Ruth.
That is item number 27.
27, yes.
There's a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, second from Councilman Hargrove. And your request is approved unanimously.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
City Manager Ballantyne, any report?
No report, but I do want to thank Karen. She's been a great partner in serving this community, and it just went by too fast. So thanks, Karen.
She didn't quite hold to the 5 years, did she? Close enough. Mr. Galante, any report this evening?
No report, but I also would like to congratulate the chief, and it's been a pleasure working with you, albeit it was somewhat short, but congratulations on your retirement.
Karen, your last report. Should bring in a binder.
Thank you, Mayor. Captain Sims is going to get up in just a second, give a recap of fireworks that you hear that we're still, battling with outside there. But my report tonight is just going to conclude with my final thank you to all of you as members of this council. And I can't express to you how much it means to me, your ongoing support for the public safety component in the city of Chino. The men and women of the Chino Police Department really appreciate it, but not just to the police department, to all of city staff. It takes all of EMT and all the different departments to really provide the customer service and the care that we do to the community. It's all of the cornerstones, right? The parks, getting our trash picked up, making sure our water bills are paid, and just thank you for your support of staff and your engagement to the community and your care and concern. It's been said enough times here tonight, Chino's a great place to live, to work, and to raise a family, and it makes me proud to see you as the ambassadors, watching over, making sure that we can that tradition and that legacy continues, as well as some of the workshops we've hosted to make sure that Chino remains a great place in the future. And that's part of the reason I want to come home to it at one point, because I see the future in Chino and what you're laying out for the future and forecasting, and I'd like to be a part of it and just living it and enjoying it. So thank you one last time for all your support, not just of me, but of the men and women of the Chino Police Department.
You're welcome, and Karen, thank you so much for all of your years of service.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
Yes, Mayor and members of the council, just want to provide you a quick overview with our 4th of July. 4th of July went well as expected. Our community really behaved well, and that shows in our numbers. Overall, there was 40 administrative citations that were written in the 6 hours on the 4th of July between 6 p.m. and midnight. Though that was a significant reduction from the year before, we also deployed 10 less officers specifically for fireworks enforcement, and that was due to the investigation that occurred the night before. We just weren't able to field as many. But I do want to share that we actually confiscated more illegal fireworks than any year before, even with less personnel, and that was over 2,800 pounds of illegal fireworks, most of which we gained through our undercover operations, which is where we scour social media and other areas for people that are selling it. We're able to then set up meetings with them, arrest them, and prevent that stuff from hitting our streets. And we did that for well over 30 days prior to the 4th of July, and I think that had a significant impact on less being launched on the 4th of July. And in fact, some of the offenders would say, as they're talking to our undercover officers, you're not cops from Chino, right? Because I hear they're out trying to arrest people. So, no, we're not.
Surprise.
So with that, we made 9 arrests for selling of illegal fireworks, and again, I think that had a significant impact on that. The other thing I wanted to point out that out of the 40 people we cited, only 16 of those were city residents. I think that also goes to our campaign, that we got out the word out to our community. They have gotten smarter. They hide a lot more, and they're more sophisticated, but we're trying to get more sophisticated as well. But they're also not launching the same number because they know we're watching, not just from our undercover vehicles, but from our drones and other things like that. So that was my report in regards to fireworks, and I'd love to answer any questions you might have on that.
I just have a comment, and I was really hopeful that this year would be a lot better on the 4th of July, because at least in our area, up in the north area, there didn't seem to be as many illegal activities going on before the actual 4th, but the day of the 4th, it was crazy. I mean, people in the county area and around us, they didn't just set off a few aerials. It was like the grand finale. I honestly have not seen that before. It was crazy. So what was set off was bigger and a lot longer and kind of in-your-face type. And that disappointed me. It really did. I was really disappointed in people that they would do that, knowing, that we're really trying to cut back on it.
Well, and I think they also know that we can't enforce that violation at the county line. And so they've been pushed to those areas that are adjacent to it because the laws don't apply to them there.
That's true.
So.
That's true. Any comments or questions of Wes? Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome, and I too want to thank Chief Comstock. Though I can't fit in those tennis shoes, I will try and fit in her boots. And to answer Councilman Rodriguez's question, I'm sure she actually probably did drive by your house to make sure it was okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wes. And who's here from the fire department this evening?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to tag team, if I could, off of Captain Simmons just a little bit for the fire district in regards to the 4th of July. Just to kind of close that loop on the total number of confiscated fireworks as weighed by the training center, so that would incorporate the whole Chino Valley. 3,299 pounds of both safe and sane and illegal, mostly illegal fireworks were confiscated. But if safe and sane were in the county area or up in the Chino Hills area, they're confiscated, obviously, or if people were misusing them. I'm happy to report we had 0 injuries, zero fireworks injuries this year, which was great. We did have 10 small fires in the Chino, City of Chino proper. We had 3 small spot fires, so that'd be a brush fire. We had 1 tree fire, 1 structure fire, which I believe was a roof area, and we had 5 listed as other, which generally means dumpster fires. So none of those were significant. They were small. We also wrote ourselves 2 admin citations up in the Chino Hills area as a fire district. And so that would conclude my report. I don't know if you have any questions for me on that.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Any questions?
I would like to add my congratulations to Chief Comstock. I'm also in the twilight of my career here. I'm in my 29th year, and I can tell you one of the things that's made my career so fulfilling here in Chino Valley has been our law enforcement partners and the relationship that we share. It's been that way since I started in 1990. It's continuing today. It will continue into the future, especially with soon-to-be Chief Simmons taking the helm. It's a lot of it is strong leadership at the top that helps those relationships, and it makes it fun to come to work when you have, first name basis, and that's true for all different ranks out in the street, as well as all the way up into the command staff. So for me, personal thank you to you, Karen. It's been a great relationship, and it's just made my job that much easier. So thank you.
Well, thank you for the comments. And with that, we will adjourn to our next regular meeting on Tuesday, August 6th.
Actually, we have
Oh, no,
a
I'm
close-
sorry, that's been canceled.
No.
Oh, no,
We have a
yeah,
closed
that's
session.
right. Sorry. We have to recess back to closed session again for item number A. I will ask our attorney to make his statement.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and members of the audience. The City Council met to discuss the final outstanding item on the closed session agenda. Item A, conference with real property negotiator concerning all the properties I previously announced. City Council heard an update and the discussion on the potential acquisition and price and terms of such acquisition. Provided direction, no further reportable action was taken. That concludes the report out of closed session.
Okay, and with that, we will adjourn to August 7th at 7 PM with closed session starting at 6 if necessary, and we will be meeting in the Preserve Community Center located at 15800 Main Street in Chino. Adjourned.